Hello, hello, my dear friends, you've reached Elena's bar. The best place on the internet, the very best by far. She'll help improve your fitness, but there's also so much more. 'Cause here are just a few things that this channel has in store. There's barre and there's Pilates and there's belly dancing too. And many styles of yoga, so I'm sure there's one for you. Then watch her practice pianist string from right within her home. She's in such big condition, she'll outrun the metronome. Elena's Barre, Elena's Barre. They're the best place on the internet, the very best by far. It's not just the piano, but the ukulele too. The guitar and violin are even more that she can do. She does so many different things, it's hard not to lose track. I nearly didn't mention that she posts on her Substack. Elena's Barre, Elena's Barre. The best place on the internet, the very best by far. Yet controversial topics may be brought up for discussion, but try not to provoke her or she'll swear at you in Russian. And sometimes certain topics can make quite a big impression. So remember, you take part at your own risk and your discretion. Yeah, Elena's Barre, Elena's Barre. The best place on the internet, the very best by far. You might even meet Elena if you're quite a loyal fan. She's got a fixed male cat, but she's so desperate for a man. We've really got it all, then you couldn't ask for more. So sit right back and watch Elena shave a 3 or 4. Elena's Barre, Elena's Barre. The best place on the internet, the very best by far.
Hello, my dear friends. Welcome back. Welcome to Elena's Barre. Today I have the resurgence of sanity, guys, with me, and we have a fun topic. Now I know Steve is going to intervene and say she says it every single time.
Yep.
Right?
No, you already beat me to that.
I know. Well, now you can say something else, right? So, yeah, guys, we are talking about passport bros today. I get some comments from guys, mostly talking about Russian women, because as you guys know, I'm from Russia, and then they think that all Russian women are these super cute angels that can do no wrong. And I had to beat my husband to do this live stream with us, because he can tell you more things about passport bros because he's done it. So
You
here
see,
we go.
she just admitted it. She beats her husband. Russian women are not that great.
Thank you, Steve. I'm glad you caught that.
Well, I had to convince him to, do this live stream. So yeah, guys, I don't even know where should we start from. Like, why do men believe? Okay, I have a question before we dive in. Why do you think men believe that Russian women, or like Eastern European women or Asian women, and we've done a few shows on Asian women, why do you think they are better? Why do you think they think these women are better?
Grass is always greener on the other side.
True. But a lot of men also, I think they go for visual, because these women, they look nicer, cuter. Maybe they tend to take care of themselves.
I mean, they're not as fat.
Yeah.
Okay, I was thinking about this, and I do have the answer to that.
Mm-hmm.
It's erroneous thinking that men have. First of all men, no matter where, are attracted to beautiful, thin women, hip to waist ratio.
Yeah.
Symmetrical face, long hair. Okay, yeah, that's the way it is. First of all, yeah, there's more of those in Asia, in Eastern Europe, and Russia, pretty much anywhere else in the world, because the U.S. women tend to be a bit on the chunkier side.
Steve, I want
Yeah?
to say something on this point. Most people don't know this, but a lot of women in France and Spain are also very thin, and they're Western. They're fully Western. The the problem of weight is very geographically constrained.
Mm-hmm.
Sure enough. And even Canadian women, I think, tend to be a little bit thinner than American women.
Yes.
So here's what it comes down to. In the US, there is this, it's the belief among the Christians and among non-Christians that feminism is the problem. If it wasn't for feminism corrupting women, it would be much better and they'd make a good wife. So, we have to go someplace where feminism is less. And any place other than the US, since they don't know that much about those places, they assume feminism is less. That's not true.
Yeah.
But what's even more not true is women are pliable. Yes, feminism can make them worse. Remove feminism, and do you have a great woman? Not necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
It's female nature is what it is. And so you have to manage and lead a woman and have dominance in order for her to respond and be the proper kind of woman for you. If you think you're just going to go overseas, be a passport bro, and go find an unsoiled, ready-made, nice woman, yeah, it's not necessary. It's the foundation of the problem is not feminism. It's the nature of females, which is not a bad thing. It's just that women need a strong leader. And if you can't be a strong leader, I don't care where you go in the world. You're going to marry a woman and she will end up trying to control you. And if you don't have the dominance to prevent that, you'll end up being controlled.
So when I talk about my experiences passport broing, I often spend an enormous amount of time discussing female nature.
Mm-hmm.
Because what people are actually hoping for when they go do passport bro is that this woman is going to have somehow magically cleared herself of her female nature, that the culture around her has driven it from her as if it's a demon, that the culture can cleanse.
Oh, maybe not cleanse, but restrain. But they maybe
Okay.
do it that way.
Yeah. So they think the culture restrains women and they don't have to.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So we've said it here and we'll probably say it again. It takes a village to restrain a woman. The village isn't the culture. The village is men. It's men imposing consequences on the excesses of female nature. So, here's the thing, guys. The core message, at least for me, is if you think you're going to go over to a foreign country and you're going to meet this compliant, ready-made, soft woman, I have nothing but bad news for you. These women are so much better at playing the game. They are so much more demanding of actual dominance than an American woman is. An American woman is the easiest woman you will ever meet. An American feminist. I kid you not.
Well, okay, darling, tell them, was I already made when you met me?
No. So we met in 2014 and Well, it's 2025, and I would say work in progress is the current status of Elena.
I shouldn't have asked that question, but okay.
Hey,
I pretend
defense-
it doesn't happen.
in defense of Elena, no woman ever makes it out of that status.
Pretty
Yeah,
much.
right.
So,
Yeah.
Because the minute a man says, okay, she's complete, I
Oh,
can
God.
relax now.
don't do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Never perfect. Never perfect.
She will end up taking control. It takes active management.
I actually
to,
don't want. I don't want that control. But yeah, I understand the logic. Yeah.
Well, the logic is very simple. Red pill.
Mhm.
If you give up, what you're really saying when you're saying, "Oh, I'm done building her. She is complete." What you're really telling yourself, "Oh, I can relax and not be the person that built her."
Yeah.
All of everything in life, from you're just keeping the lights on to everything that's required to go into society to keep it running, requires maintenance, requires upkeep, it requires conscious effort.
You know what? I'll make an admission here. My second marriage, I thought was pretty good. When did it start to go bad? When I said, yeah, things are good. I don't really need to lead and be dominant. Yeah, she's proven herself. I can kind of coast here. No, that was a bad idea.
Mhm. Yeah. Once you relax, you give up your frame, basically.
Yes, actually. Guys, if you think that you're going to go to another country and find a girl who you can just relax and be yourself with, what's actually going to happen is, and there'll be variations on this theme depending on where you go in the world, you're going to get taken. And I mean that in the grifter sense, in the so one of the things to bring up on that is when you do passport broing as a guy, you need to have done just an absolute incredible amount of research. Okay. You need to know enough about the various possible cultures you could be headed to pick a culture that you think you might do well with. And then you have to start really, frankly, spurging out on understanding their culture. Learn some of the words. Watch movies about the culture. Read books, written in that culture. Yeah.
It's also, you mentioned movies. It's not just the movies that foreigners are making about Russian culture, or even Russians are propagating about Russian culture. It's the inside movies.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, you might have to actually go, learn the language. Now, I do not speak Russian.
Well, there are movies with English subtitles. I'm
Yeah.
occasionally sharing them with you guys on my channel, so you can check those.
And guys, so I said Elena and I met in 2014. My studies of Eastern European culture began in probably 2006.
What took you so long?
Well, I got married in between there.
Oh, I know.
Well, okay, there's one other aspect, and you've mentioned it. You met Elena first time face-to-face in Spain.
Yep.
How long had she been living outside of Russia and been exposed to other cultures, which kind of modified her view and personality of the world? So even though Elena is Russian, culturally,
she's a mutt.
She's not 100%, because she spent time in other countries doing other things, learning other languages. She's not a typical Russian woman.
No, not even close. actually, to be perfectly blunt, I've never been to Russia. When we met in Spain, we dated in Spain. She was able to come to the United States before we got married, but that was like a one-time deal. And
it's because I traveled before. I had work visa, well, student and work visa.
right, so
So
she was already in the US system.
I could visit, yeah.
So I want to point out that here's another thing about passport broing. There's a lot of things I could say of specific examples of what I did, and absolutely none of it is going to apply to what you're, as a guy, what you're going to be dealing with. So well, I mean, we visited other countries in Europe, but all of our dating was done in Western Europe. As an American, particularly back in the mid 2010s, this was a relatively simple way to do it. But it also meant that culturally we were on neutral ground. She didn't have her family around. I didn't have my family around. She didn't have her culture around. I didn't have my culture around. Okay. So in Russia, it's men, particularly the fathers, will test the hell out of you. Okay. I didn't have to go through any of that. Her dad wasn't there to do it. Okay. I'm not saying this is good or bad. I'm explaining that my situation is going to be very different from what you can do. So let's say you want to go date a Russian because you think Russian chicks are hot. I mean, well, you do watch this channel. You're going to have a rough time in Russia right now. And here, you want to talk about spurging out. One of the things you have to be aware of is, where is the nearest U.S. consulate? You've got to know this. Okay. You have to. There isn't one in Russia right now. It's all closed. There's no embassy, no consulates, no nothing.
There used to be in Moscow, but even then, the fiancé visas, the ones that we did, they haven't been issued in a very long time. I mean, they were saying that they were, but there were so many limitations to that.
Well, this gets into another aspect of passport broing. You have to know what the fraud rates are for the country you're going to. Russia itself is considered to have a very high fraud rate. So the United States vets visas going to the Russian embassy very, very closely. Visas going to the Spanish embassy in Madrid, not so much. So that was another advantage of what we did. Okay. And you guys, you have to know all of this. Now, you don't have to know the visa thing if you're just going to do what they call sex tourism and you just want to get lots of poon. Okay. But if you're thinking, oh, I'm going to go there and I'm going to find me a long-term woman, the amount of research you have to do would put an autist to shame.
That brings up.
Go through this. Go ahead.
Brings up another observation about the two of you. First of all, Plutarch is substantially above average intelligence. And actually, Elena is substantially above average intelligence. That means they've done the research. And what I've observed about women that are substantially smarter, they tend to be less feminists in their talking. They understand other things. They understand dynamics at a much higher level. Now, they're still a woman. They're still going to go back to the base programming when they get emotional. Once she gets emotional, the intelligence doesn't matter. But when she's not as highly emotional, yes, she'll understand things with the intelligence. So if you think, okay, guys, be honest. You know where you rank in the relative intelligence level. if you're not a super smart guy, you know what? You're not going to look at these things. You're not equipped to understand the dynamics. And yeah, you're more susceptible to being controlled. And you're in a foreign environment, foreign laws, and over there you're at a disadvantage. And if you come back here, you're at the same disadvantage of every other man in the U.S., regardless of whether he married an American or a foreigner, because she will soon find out how much power she has.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, guys, do you, listeners, you, Nick and Steve, do you think Elena is not aware of how much power she has in the United States? Like, I mean,
Yeah, she is.
Especially after getting the citizenship, you know.
Oh, let's watch the video from
Okay.
Rich Cooper.
this is a great segue.
Yeah. Okay, let me hit play.
Yep.
American who has a Chinese wife that has turned his home into the most uncomfortable place in his life. Let's just dive right into this and see what we got going on and offer some feedback to it. So apparently he's been following the channel for 3 years. He's in his mid-30s, six-figure income. Again, my Chinese wife has turned my home into the most uncomfortable place in my life. I know that I should leave, but I have held out for my son because she had threatened to take him away to China. Our relationship started when she quickly expressed that she had no interest in being physical with me until she came back from a business trip and was all over me. It's a bad start. You do not want to get involved with women that aren't enthusiastic to be with you to begin with. Anyway, she comes back from her business trip and is all over him like a fat kid on cake. Red flags number 1 and 2. Shortly after that, she ended up being pregnant. And yes, I tested to make sure it was mine. Good man, that's a smart move. I took advice from my family, proposed and married her before the kid was born. Okay. And then you put after that green card question mark. What do you think? Since then, we moved to a new state. I doubled my income, but she was never happy. She got a job of her own and had hoarded all of her money ever since. Finances are extremely contested, and she will only ever use her money for things that...
This is how to get in shape fast.
Oh.
The best way to boost your metabolic rate
yeah.
and get in shape is not keto, it's not paleo.
Just keep it.
she approves of, mostly sending it to her family or travel or on her terms. She still wasn't happy. I built a new home. Still wasn't happy. Somewhere around here was when I first retained an attorney, but didn't execute because of the above. The list goes on. Cars, etc. Okay, so he's improved her life dramatically. She certainly got a pretty good deal out of this. And she even forced having a second kid with threats that she would find somebody else to do it with if I wouldn't. Wow. Red flag number 7. I truly feel death by 1,000 paper cuts, as every time I concede to keep up with the pace, hoping to make things better, it always ends up being at the expense of my values and would further entrap me in this life. At this point, we are over 1 year with no intimacy, connection, or positive feedback about anything in our lives, and almost every confrontation escalates into fights, but everything and nothing ever gets resolved. From what I know, it's following textbook narcissism combined with contempt. He goes on to say, how do I wrap my head around breaking this cycle? I've had years to twist this and keep myself here being this long. My biggest challenge is the kids, fear of the divorce system here, losing half my time with them, not being able to protect them, being financially thrashed in the process, and losing many freedoms in the next 2 decades. I feel I have more influence over my future by staying together, more involvement over my kids' lives. And once things are contested, I think it will be a bigger challenge. You're probably right. I have done enough math to know that if I keep conceding for private schools, homes, cars, etc., I won't be able to afford to leave. Then travel opening back up, risks can escalate quickly. Okay, let's hop on the road. Have a little discussion about our friend's crazy Chinese wife. And guys, just for frame and reference here, I've dealt with a lot of these over the years, and this Chinese wife story is pretty common. You know, the dragon wife, the dragon lady, whatever you want to call her. I don't know if it's exclusive to Chinese culture, but a lot of white dudes end up getting wrapped up with Chinese gals. And actually, it's not always Chinese. I've seen this in other Asian cultures too. And they get turned into these like pussified former versions of themselves. Yes men, you know, if you will. They're required to...
Hold on. How are Russian women? Are they better than this, Elena?
I've seen some Russian women. Do you remember that showdown where we were watching about visas and how people enter into the country. There were a few girls who would leave their husbands. They would marry, they would get the documents, and then they would leave.
Oh, green. So what you're describing is green card fraud, and it is rampant everywhere. I mean, look, we have an illegal immigration problem. People want to come to the United States. Why do they want to come to the United States? Because it's better here than there. Okay. Look, this is a tough one, because for a woman, it is better here financially. But remember, they are leaving their culture. They are leaving their family. It is harder. So they need a really good reason to do this. And money, remember, Rich was talking about, oh, this girl says that she's going to go make her own money, and she approves of sending the money all back to the family. Yes. That is what they think of.
I thought it was just the sex workers who are willing to trade pussy for financial gain.
Well, then every woman in the world is a sex worker. I mean, if that's your definition.
I'm not making a definition. I'm just pointing out essentially that's what they're doing. Love bombing. Doesn't that describe the same phenomena regardless of the nationality of the woman?
Yeah.
Yep.
Nick, you've been awfully silent down there. What are your thoughts
On this video so far? Yeah. It's not just Russian and Chinese women. Although it can be worse because they can take your kids and you can't get them back. I think in China they can
that's true everywhere, actually. So if you're married to a foreign woman, she divorces you in the United States, and she goes back to her home country and takes the kids with her, there are no extradition rights. Okay. And this is any country that you will find stories of this happening. South America, Central America. This is actually a huge problem in Southeast Asia. And the State Department is going to shrug their shoulders, throw up their hands, and say, look, there's nothing. And there is nothing they can do short of literally invading the country with armed men to go pull the children out and put them back with the father. Well, the state already hates the fathers, so why the hell would they do that?
Right.
Well, okay, the same thing happens everywhere. Say you're a man from Texas and you marry a woman from Louisiana, and you get divorced, and she takes the kids and moves back to Louisiana. Yeah, you can visit the kids in Louisiana. Once in a while, you can have them come to Texas, but you know what? You can't, you really don't have much power there. Right, Nick?
You don't. Nope, you don't have much say-so at all. In fact, some visitation days are, for some reason, don't happen. So, yeah. But, at least you, if they're in the country, though, it helps. If they can't take them
definitely. At least you can visit. Yeah,
right.
You can visit them.
So, like, Nick has some recourse. You get divorced from a foreign woman, and she takes the kids and goes back to her home country. You may
never see them ever again.
Exactly. And here's the thing. This isn't true of all countries, but with some countries where the United States is particularly friendly, the United States can order you to pay child support to that person in the foreign country.
This is how it used to be in Russia. I've actually, I know one story. It's a credible source. The lady was helping with visas, in particular with the fiancé visas. And you guys know I was also helping students to get visas, and it was part of my job. So she was saying that that woman, she got pregnant from American men, and they didn't issue her the visa right away. So they had to spend like 5 years issuing, applying and reapplying. And they had to do a bunch of DNA tests to prove that he was the actual father. So he couldn't see her, he couldn't visit her. I mean, they were meeting somewhere in the middle ground. And then they approved it. So he finally was able to move her, but it took like years to get her there, you know. And then during all of that time, he was sending her the money so that she could take care of the child and, you know, take care of herself. So yeah, this happens a lot.
Sending her the money.
That's different. That's something else, Elena.
And I'm sure having no one looking over her shoulder, what she did, how she spent the money, who she hung out with.
Exactly.
Yeah. Are you? I don't know about that. Yeah, I think she was entirely faithful. Maybe she was. We'll assume that she was. But at least 50% of the time, she just has a sugar daddy in a foreign country who sends her money, and she can have whatever experiences she wants.
Exactly. It's not, darling, I know that it's not the child support, but it's he doesn't have any authority, so he just sends the money to her, and then she just pumps him for what he's worth.
Oh well, that's a whole nother set of issues. Like I could do entire episodes on just chunks of the issues that we're talking about. Okay, I mentioned it in the opening that financial grifting is a huge problem, and there are so many different ways. A large part of the research I did was learning how to identify the various scams, what the women are going to do, how they're going to, you know, what they'll ask for, when they'll ask for it. And if you're going to do passport broing, you have to learn how to work with online tools, websites, dating apps, etc. Like you're not going to succeed if you don't, because you don't speak enough of the language to run your game in real time.
Also, I've heard a few stories from the Spanish guys. They met a Russian woman online, and she was basically scamming them. You know, she would ask her for the money to buy the ticket for herself, but she would never come. This is so common, guys.
So what the women will do is they'll say, "Oh, I need money to go get a visa."
Oh yeah.
Okay, I need a few $100s to go get a visa. That's the hook. Okay.
Yeah.
And then once you give them the few $100s, they know they've got you on the hook. And then you'll get a sob story about how they couldn't get the visa. So if you want to meet, you'll have to come to them, and even so. And then go ahead.
There's a term for this. Anybody know it? Catfishing. And American women do it to American men also. Catfishing is meeting someone online and stringing them along to extract financial resources. Some women can get tens of thousands of dollars from a man. And then you can go out and you can learn about this. They'll string you along. And then when the man finally says, I can't give you any more money, are you scamming me? Then she'll cut off and she'll feign anger. You don't trust me. And she'll just cut off everything in a huff. Leave them just devastated. And then somehow, people start talking again. And then, he's been without her. Oh, honey, I'm so sorry. I doubted you.
Yep.
And now she'll start the whole scheme over, and he'll, oh, yes, I'm sorry I didn't believe you. I'll send you more money.
Mhm.
So one of my ironclad rules that it can be hard sometimes because the thing to remember about online dating is you don't know if you're talking to a person yet. Okay.
Mhm.
You're talking to a picture, and some of the profiles that you're looking at, these women are just devastatingly beautiful women. Okay. And you really, really, really want it to be true that they mean all these lovely things that they're saying about you. But the moment they brought up money, you have to go no contact, nothing. Just that's it. Okay. Absolute
People can be
ironclad
duped.
rule.
But
Yeah.
what if you want to meet her in person, or if she wants to meet you in person?
Then you've got to go. And so here's what I did. First of all, remember, Elena and I met in person in Spain. The first time.
Okay.
We met in other countries later, but in Spain, the first time. Okay. When I went, I booked the ticket, and I've said this before, I'm a pilot. I love flying. So I had never been to Europe before, so I said, you know what? I'm going to have fun with this. So I booked a ticket, and it was all a bunch of airplane. The actual routing I took was terrible. Okay. Like no one would actually take this routing on this trip if they were anything other than a pilot who loves airplanes. But it was a bunch of airplanes I had never flown on before. I thought, oh yeah, it'd be really cool to fly on a 747-8, it's okay. And then I had a hotel there. And I had a list of activities that I wanted to do.
Well, Barcelona is a beautiful city.
Yeah, you've got the Sagrada Familia, you've got Park Güell, you've got Plaza Catalunya. The food in Barcelona is to die for.
Mhm.
You could go to Barcelona for 4 days, gorge yourself, and come home a happy camper. Okay. So this is in the Red Pill community, we call outcome independence. Regardless of what happened with Elena, I was going to have a good time. Okay. I was going to have fun. I was going to see things I'd never seen, try food I'd never tried before, visit places that, frankly, we just don't have anything like in the United States. No matter what happened. And remember, I was going through a divorce. Okay. So as I've said in my prior story, it took me 6 weeks to figure out that my ex cheated on me. And at that point I was done with her. I pretty much just started looking online right after that. I'm like, nah, screw this. Fuck it. Fuck them all. I'm going to go have me some fun. Okay. Remember, I said that I started researching this in 2006. Okay. I had years of knowledge built up. And so I was like, well, I already know what I want to do. I already know what I'm going to do. And so I just went and started doing it immediately. And so, part of this was, I'm no longer married. I can do whatever the hell I want. I can either do it with a woman or without one. Either way, I'll be fine. So outcome independence ended up being this huge determining factor in the success of the initial meetup. And, she didn't ask for money. She didn't ask. I'm just saying.
Oh, she played the long game.
Right.
I did. I didn't want the short term.
Now, here I'm going to say something else, and people are like, "Well, why would you do that?" So, 2 months before she moved here, she messaged me and said, "Hey, look, I need some money to cover rent at my, I don't have my job anymore because I'm shutting down my life in Europe. I need to cover rent till we can move here for a couple months. I'm like, okay, there it goes. Why would I do that? Well, by the time we got to that point where we had already agreed that she was going to move here and get married, I'd spent quite a bit of time with her in person. She had met my family. I'd met most of hers. She already had the visa when that happened. So we had finished the process of getting the fiancé visa.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, okay, if she really wants to steal, I think it was like $4,000 and blow up everything that was done. Okay, I told myself, okay, I'm writing off this $4,000. I could afford it at the time. So I was just like, well, we're going to find out how good, how she is as a person.
You were outcome indifferent.
Yeah.
I send the money, I kiss it goodbye. Might be a bad idea, but I'm not expecting anything from the money. Plus, I get to find out whether she's honest. So there's an upside here.
You get to learn something about her. And I did learn something about her. She actually keeps her word. That's a useful thing to learn as a man. Doesn't mean that women always keep their word. I'm not saying that. But she demonstrated that I could hand her some amount of money to cover some basics in while we're doing the transition process, and it would be used appropriately. Wow. Okay. That's kind of a big deal. But when I was just talking to women early on, even for most of our dating relationship, the only money that I spent on her was shared money. So like going out to eat or, things you would normally do in a dating relationship anyway, buying dinners, buying, the touristy bus tickets, whatever, stuff like that. Although later on in our relationship, we didn't do as much touristy
if you
stuff.
Let me point out, it's a mental thing about spending that money. If you're going out to eat, I want to eat at a nice place. I'm saying from a guy's standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I want to eat at a nice place. I want to enjoy this experience. I want to enjoy the food. It'd be great if I had a companion,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm willing to pay for it. I'm not doing this to impress her. I could give a fuck. I'm doing this because I'm going to enjoy it. Okay, good. Let's do a touristy thing. Oh, yeah, it's going to take some tickets for a bus tour, whatever. I'm doing this because I want to see it, and I'll bring her along as a companion. I'm not doing this to impress her.
Right. You're going to have to spend money. So you're in Barcelona and let's say you want to visit the monastery in Montserrat. Well, that's a bus drive. That's a bus ticket. And you can get these little packages where you can do like Montserrat in the morning, afternoon, then you come out and you do a Spanish style dinner, early dinner thing. You do wine tasting. Like,
oh, that was an awesome trip. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It was
okay.
Fun. Mm-hmm.
Very, very cool to do just as a guy. Oh, and by the way, I got this cute blonde chick sitting next to me. The woman is additive to the situation, but was not necessary to do it. Right. So though, like it when it comes to money early on, you just say no. And if they pitch a fit about it, just walk away. It isn't worth it. Later on, once you get to know them and know who they are, you can start to use the money as a test of who they are.
Yeah. So
Actually
should we
cheaper
keep
to do
watching?
that than in the long run.
Yeah, Nick.
It's
Yeah.
What?
Yep.
you're going to spend money on an American woman too. So
Yeah.
that's the difference. Should we keep watching Rich Cooper?
Sure.
Yeah.
To generate a stamp that says yes on it, and everything she says, yes, 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 yes. You just stamp that shit all day long. And that's not genuine burning desire. That is not a good life. You're essentially spending your entire life trying to make an unhappy person happy. And it ain't nowhere you to live, my friend. Now, you linked your social. I took a look at your life as it's held out to the public. And as always, it's always rainbows and butterflies, you know, happy pictures of happy children, park, nice picture of the home with the cars in front, all the standard stuff, a random picture of her peppered here and there. And anybody that would be checking that out that's in the public that
the magnesium in your cabinet is not only filled with heavy metals, but it also can be making your age faster. And I'm about to prove it. Did you know that?
Might work with this guy that might come across him and follow him, but just think, oh, this guy's got an awesome life. Maybe I should go find a woman like that and create a family like this too. And we'll all, you know, it'll all be tickety-boo and fine. But that's the reality of social media. It's a highlight reel too, right? So people only are able to put their best foot forward, and anything that sucks or isn't fun for them, it's hidden and revealed in a situation like this. So what would I do in a situation like this? Well, first of all, the lesson here for the younger guys that are contemplating getting married, having children, maybe like the idea of being a passport bro. Have you heard the passport bro story before, where these North American guys or these Western guys think that it's a good idea to go to a country in Asia or South America? They might have a thing for Latinos. They might have a thing for Asian women. And then they go and do this exact same thing that our friend is doing over here. And they often end up in the exact same scenario. You see, if you don't get your head screwed on right, and you don't understand what women respond to, what they don't respond to, how to game women, how to live your life as an unplugged man, as an unplugged alpha, as I would put it, as it's described in my book, then you're going to run into problems like this. It doesn't matter where you get the woman from. You're always going to run into problems like this if you don't know how to vet for red flags and know how to hold frame. I don't think that our friend here was aware of any of this stuff before he met this gal, because I can tell by the pictures the kid is older than 3 years, and he said he's only been following my channel for 3 years. So these problems had begun years and years before that. So unfortunately, I don't have a time machine to put you back in, my friend. But that's the lesson for the younger guys. Vet, vet, vet. Make sure you use the red flags that I described in my book. If you don't have the book, it's fine. You can get the red flags for free by opting into my email list. It's pinned below in the top comment. And make sure you understand what they are and the significance of them when you're dealing with women, because a lot of guys want to have a family and children, and they can potentially end up in an environment or a scenario exactly like our friend here, where their home, as he described at the very beginning, has become the most uncomfortable place in his world. And your house should be a place of comfort. You should come home from work after chasing excellence, putting a dent in the universe, doing things of significance with your life, to a warm, loving wife who is enthusiastic about being in your arms and laying with you in a bed, right? Who's a great mom, who's a great wife, who helps, you know, make your life a better place. This guy's life is a disaster, and he's done all the right things. He's doubled his income. He's bought the nice house. He has the nice cars in the driveway. I've seen all the photographs. It looks like he's done exactly what he's been told to do. And again, they tell women different things from men. They tell women, you do what's right for you, girl. But they'll tell guys, you do what's right, period.
Yeah.
Now, back to this guy's problem. What would I do? I'd get out. I'll be honest with you. Now, it's going to require some strategic planning. You've already moved states, so moving states doesn't seem to be a problem for you. What I would do is I would take a look at the United States and find out which state has the best laws for fathers. There are lots of resources out there online. If you just start Googling, there's organizations and groups and nonprofits that rank all the states by friendliness to fathers in divorce or in custodial issues and stuff like that. And by default, the first thing I would do, don't tell her why you're moving to the state. Just tell her you're going to buy her a nicer house or you got a better job. I assume you can work remotely by the way you described your job. Either that or remote work will either be required or you'll have to get a new job to do this. But I would move to a state that's friendly to fathers if you're not already in one right now. So that would be the first step, because if you're going to get divorced, like you already know, her immediate strategy is, well, I'll just leave the country and take the children with me. And make no mistake, I've seen this happen a lot of times with these Chinese wives. It's not an empty threat. They do it, And there's lots of videos online of guys complaining about it. I think Tech Lead, if I'm not mistaken, a large YouTube channel with over 1 million subs, has several videos where he's talking about his wife stealing his child and basically taking off back to Asia. Now, back to our friend over here. So move to a state that's friendlier to fathers. Consult with a lawyer to plan your strategy. Let your lawyer know what her strategy is, and make sure that you take all the appropriate steps to ensure that you remain in your children's lives, that you can continue to parent them.
All right, guys, I really hope that you enjoyed that clip. If you want to check out the full-length podcast episode, you can find.
Oh, do I have lots to say? So the Tech Lead story, I followed that guy from before even, and that hit. I was like, wow, damn, that dude got run through. This is not an uncommon story. When I was saying do research of the countries where you're planning on going. One of the things that I learned is that in Eastern European cultures, we have seen a large number of stabbing attacks on foreign men with local women. And there's a reason for this. These men view you as stealing their women. And they view her as a traitor. Okay? So it's not just the men that they're going after. It was stab the man, take him out of the picture, and then go have their way with the woman. Okay? So, and you might, and to all you gym bro types out there, you think, oh, well, I'm a big, strong man. I can defend myself. First off, no, you can't. These were group attacks. The 3, 4, 5 strong young men who are armed with knives, bludgeons, and in some cases, firearms. You will not have access to the tools of self-defense in whichever foreign country you go to.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be checked for bladed weapons and, of course, firearms when you get on the plane. And again, when you go through customs in the foreign country, you will be at a severe disadvantage in all cases. What this means is that, remember how I said that Spain ended up being neutral ground? The Spanish men didn't care about Elena, about me hanging out with Elena, because she's not one of theirs.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Whereas you go to Albania is famous for this. You go to Albania to date an Albanian chick. A lot of beautiful Albanian women out there. There's a lot of attacks that happen. I'm not going to say that it's like happens to all of them, and you guys can go find the stories on this stuff. Albania, Hungary, Romania, etc.
This anger of men is real. Oh, historically, when World War II, Germany occupied France. You know, in the German officers and soldiers, you know, they were honorable. A lot of them, let's face it, were honorable men. Yeah. Masculine, a position of power. I'm not saying they were bad men. Okay, they were working for the side that later got demonized. But there was a lot of French women who dated these German men.
Yep.
Eventually, the Germans were kicked out of France. The war ended. You know how it ended. And then what did they do to those women who they considered traitors?
I don't know if they did in the Netherlands, but yeah.
Well, they
shaved their heads.
They shaved their heads.
And publicly humiliated them. There was a lot of anger against these women who were traitors to France and the French men. During the time this was going on, the French men couldn't do squat about their woman dating a German. But they weren't
Once they
happy about
could.
it. Once they could, they did. And you know what? Once they were in control, if there were any Germans there, German men who somehow slipped through the cracks and stayed and were married to a French woman, there might be some stories we will never know about how they reached an early end to their lives. Don't know. I would expect it's true.
So Tacticus dropped a comment, and I want to pull this up. So he says, or they drug you. So one of the things I learned in my research, and I'll put this back up, is that there are different tactics used by in different groups. So the Eastern Europeans tend to be very, their grift tends to be financial. Okay. And they tend to use online manipulations and love bombing, and they have no problem trading sex for cash. The druggings you actually tend to see more in South America. And when you think about it, that actually kind of makes sense because there's a lot of drugs that are manufactured in South America. With Asian cultures, you tend to see more of the have children and then use the children as a weapon to get money. Like this Chinese guy that we were just watching with Rich Cooper. Okay. It was a Chinese woman. And the part of the reason for that is, and this will vary by where you are, but if you go to like the Philippines, the Philippine women really want white or light-skinned babies. It's considered a sign of high status, affluence, etc., to have light skin. I don't claim to understand all the culture around it. I did not obviously go for Filipino women. So one of the things that they will happily do is get babies from you and leave. And if they can get money out of you, more's the better. But, you know, all of these guys saying, oh, no, you can't bring your women back to the United States. Okay. So you stay in the Philippines. Understand something. Her whole family's there. Mm-hmm. They know the legal system inside and out. You don't. They speak the language. They can find a lawyer. You can't. Okay.
And it's the same way in the U.S. If you're in a legal family court matter with a woman, she's going to get favorable treatment.
Mm-hmm.
She just is. Okay. If you're in another country in a court situation, they will side with their own.
Yes.
Yeah. Doesn't matter whether you're right or wrong. The law doesn't matter.
Right. So, you know, everyone's saying, oh, you can't bring them back here because they will get feminized here. Well, I hate to break it to you. Female nature is everywhere. And remember how I was talking about the stabbings? Okay, let's say you survive the stabbing. Yeah, the police will support. They will pick you up. They will take you to the embassy. But the police are probably involved with the same gangs that the guys who stabbed you are.
Very common. Yeah.
So, no, the police don't want the trouble of the American embassy getting angry at them. Okay. So there are limits to what, you know, the police will tolerate out of these gangs. And the gangs know that. But you guys, you have to understand that not all cultures are American. And, you know, Americans have this really, really bad habit of going to other countries and thinking that they can just behave like Americans. There's a funny little story. Elena and I were walking back from dinner one night, and, you know, she's in Barcelona, it's a big city, and I just hear these loud voices getting closer and closer as we're walking home. And I'm like, and eventually I'm like, damn, that sounds real. I can recognize some of these words. And then we turn the corner, and 3 young American women just laughing and yelling. And this is like 11 at night in, you know, we're talking high rises and open windows and basically pissing off everybody. And I'm just sitting here going, oh my God, these people, No, I kind of understand why Europeans don't like us. We are rude. We are crass. We do tend to treat Europe as if it's just America when it's not. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that forgives all the stuff they've done with their militaries and geopolitics, but like I understand a little bit of where the Europeans come from because I've been there myself, listened to it and gone, "Oh God, we really do come across that way." So, you know, and people in those other countries, particularly if you're a man taking one of their women, and you are taking one of their women, they're going to look at you and they're going to go, "You're loud, you're crass, you're taking our pretty women. Yeah, we're going to fuck you up."
Just because you have money and I don't doesn't make you a better man, and I can fuck you up, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they're not going to fight fair. Like Americans also have this particularly in the red pill. There's this view that all fights are fair fights. You know, that we're going to square up and we're going to go fisticuffs, right? What was it I saw? Gentlemen pugilists. Old term for you, you know. It's like no. Actually, I did on my Twitter. I did a post about this guy who's trying to square off against a dude with a handgun and get shot. Unsurprisingly, it's like no one lives in that world anymore, guys. Like, you go to Europe, you do not have any advantage whatsoever. The smartest thing you can do is to keep your wits, keep your frame about you, and keep yourself out of those situations to begin with.
Yes. Keep yourself out of trouble.
Do you think that your I'll just keep rolling with this example. Do you think that your Albanian girlfriend is going to, you know, think you're so strong when, you know, you're wailing like a stuck pig and bleeding out on the side of the street? No, she's not. She's going to think you're weak as fuck. She's going to leave. Why? Because that group of men proved their dominance over you. Again, I'm not saying that stabbings are common, but go look at this. Go read the stories about the kind of things that men have had to deal with when going to foreign countries. It's like, you guys need to get real with yourselves here.
You don't even have to go to a foreign country. My ex-brother-in-law, Canadian, lived in Toronto. Not a high-performing guy. He was a musician. Didn't have a lot of money. Not a good job record. But you know what? He dated, I think she was a Russian woman in Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
She was certifiably crazy. Oh, she was bringing over food to him and all kinds of stuff. But man, she was just nuts. Older, I don't think she might have had a kid or something. And then he moved from that to dating. He dated more than one Filipino or Filipina in Toronto. Oh man, this woman was nuts in a different way. But there's, you know, after they broke up, he found out some crazy shit, and she went after some bad guy, and she had some fetishes about just downright dangerous shit. I don't know. It was okay. Those women were foreigners coming into Canada, but yeah, the culture is different. And oh man, did they want him to wife them up? Because all those women, those foreigner women, yeah, we'll date a white guy. Oh, it doesn't matter if he's not doing shit with his life right now and he's early 40s. We can make him into a better man and he can get a better job. All she needs to do is control his life, and then he can make something of himself. But first, the first thing is, I'll marry you. Yeah, well, okay. You think they're all women? Okay, these women are thinking that way regardless of where they're at. And, you know, a lot of Native, which I mean American or Canadian women, think the same way. Don't delude yourself.
You mean female nature is female nature?
Yeah.
And the thing with foreign women, you have to understand, particularly if they're already in your country, but they don't have citizenship status yet, they don't care who they marry to get it. Because, so the way the laws are written, and the Red Pills talked about this, and they're right. So Elena can come here on her fiancé visa, get married, get divorced 3 months later, and she can still complete her citizenship status. She didn't need to stick with me to do this. It's true. I know it's true in Canada as well. I don't know other countries outside of those two, but that's all she had to do. All she had to do was get married on paper, and that's it. And you get...
They found the golden ticket.
Right. And so
tell them, Plutarch, tell them about the affidavit of support.
Oh yes, tell them that.
Okay, so gentlemen, now we're getting into another aspect of passport broing. You guys are unprepared for how expensive this shit is. Okay. Tacticus, is, to my knowledge, no. Part of that is because international law is such a shit show anyway. Really, what you need is a lawyer who's familiar with the laws of both countries you're dealing with. And
yeah,
Elena,
this is what you had, right? We had a
that's what I did.
Russian lawyer.
Right. She was a Russian lawyer working in the United States. Had both a U.S. and Russian law degree and barred in both countries. So, so let's talk money.
Yeah.
Every trip that I took to visit Elena was easily $10,000. And I did that 6 times. 6 times. So on average, 10 grand, visit 6 times. No, it's 5. It's 5 times. And then you visit the U.S. once, but that U.S. visit cost me not quite as much because I had, I had my stuff here, but okay. Yeah. We'll just call it 50 grand right off the bat, just to visit this and just to vet this woman, 50,000. Okay. I also mentioned earlier that I had to send her money to cover her apartment costs for a couple months. Oh, the actual cost of moving her here.
No, Tacticus, it's not all.
Oh no, Tacticus, we're not done yet. We're not done yet.
Then I would love to laugh at feminists who say woman is an investment. Yeah, right.
So then there's the actual cost of moving here. And I don't know if you know this, but you get that first bag checked free, and that's great for vacations. With Elena, we had to pack everything as much as we could, and it ended up taking 7 bags, I think is what it ended up being, because I had my bag too. It was like 6 of yours, and 6 of yours, and then 1 of mine that we put some of your stuff in. Okay.
Yeah, well, because I spent a lot of time living in Europe, so it was a lot of stuff, guys.
Yeah, and we're not talking like there's no furniture or anything.
Right, it's just
look. Women come with clothes, and she left behind an enormous number of shoes. Like she didn't bring it all with her. We filled 6 bags. Well, it turns out that's a couple $1,000s to get across the ocean.
Yeah, and then my dog, we brought him.
Oh yeah,
all the way from
so
Spain.
we had vet bills for the dog. Okay. By the way, there is an import process for doggies too. Now it's actually easier than it is for humans.
Humans, it is much easier, yeah, but it's still a process.
Okay. Now, guys, I haven't even gotten to the checks I wrote to the lawyer yet. And so that was $60K just to do the actual process of vetting and moving. The lawyer was probably another 15,000. between all the various stages that you have to go through. It's not just a one and done process. There's the so if you're going to do the K visas, the fiance visas, there's the actual visa paperwork. That was $1,500. Then you've got to do the green card paperwork. That was like $5,000. And then the rest of it was on all the naturalization paperwork. And,
well, then it's also the wedding ceremony.
Oh, no. Okay, no.
Okay.
Right, okay, yeah. So we actually did a very cheap, low-key wedding. Didn't end up, cost about a couple $1,000s. But remember, this is the United States. She came from Barcelona where she didn't own a car. Okay. We just walked and took the subway everywhere. Oh, yeah. Okay. So now I have to buy her a car. Well, there's another $15,000 right there. Okay. What am I up to? Like $90,000 right now? Right, Tacticus, exactly. And even then, okay. Okay, and here's another thing. She will not be able to do a thing. She cannot make money in this country for probably about a year while you process her EAD paperwork. So she can't help. She can't make any money. You have to cover all of it. Everything.
Yeah.
And this girl over here, well, she's interested in all sorts of things. And she's bored out of her mind because I'm going to work every day during this, right? I was working big tech at the time, which is why I could afford this. Okay. Like there's a reason I could afford this.
But you could have bought yourself a Porsche, you know?
I could have bought myself a very nice Porsche with what I spent on this woman.
Or a lot of hookers on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And a lot of men would say that spending money on hookers would have been a better idea.
Okay, Toxicus has here a comment, Darlene. She can remote work in Russia.
Okay, Tacticus. Okay, be careful there. Because remote work from Russia for a woman means pretty much one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I hate to say it, but it means working for the site that starts with only and ends with the fans.
No, there's two. There's the other way. She could be an influencer.
Oh, yes.
Then there'd be a money transfer somewhere, and then she'd be accused of being a Russian propagandist. Okay, that's
right.
Not a good idea either.
Right. Yeah. So realistically, guys, plan for about $100,000.
Okay, now I'm going to tell part of my story. I married a woman from Canada. So we met online. She visited me here because I kind of had a restriction from going to Canada because I was paying child support and I was behind because it was too damn high. And so, yeah, I was a slave. So she came here. So I paid for the trips here. She was on welfare in Canada. Okay. You know, she's got a degree from one of the top universities in the United Kingdom, actually. So anyway, she moves here. We had to get the fiance's visa. She previously had been in the U.S., but she overstayed her stay, and she was deported. But then she got back here and married a guy and had a green card. And then she stayed in Canada too long, so she didn't have the green card. So we had to apply again to get her to come back here. Well, then it was all set to go, but you had been deported. So therefore, you have a 10-year restriction from entering the U.S. Yeah, this was a woman in the State Department. You dumb cunt. That had been resolved. She had a green card, so therefore there shouldn't be a 10-year restriction. But yeah, try and convince anybody in the bureaucracy. No, had to wait out the 10 years. Okay. So then she moves here. Wasn't that bad. She moved here with her two daughters who were Canadian American because they were born here. She didn't have a lot of bags. She packed up her stuff, put it in a truck from Canada coming down here. That cost a couple $1,000s. It wasn't bad. But the thing I'm getting at, She came here as in a fiance's visa, which meant we had to marry within 90 days or her visa
Same
expired.
here. Yeah. Same
Okay.
here. Mm-hmm.
We got married. But in the process of the fiance's visa, if you get married, okay, the U.S. doesn't want a dependent coming in and having her on the welfare rolls. So I have to sign an affidavit of support for her that is 10 years in duration to basically pay her, I think it's 150% of the poverty level.
No, that's what you have to make. So you have to prove that you make 150% of the poverty level. And what it is that so think of these, it's a promissory note. It's actually written as a legal promissory note. But it's a promissory note of undefined value. So the government, if she ever is found to have been using welfare services, regardless of your marriage status, okay, so she can marry you, come here, get divorced from you, go on welfare, and you have to pay 100% of her costs to the welfare system until it's until she gets her green card is really what it is.
So until she can start legally.
But even after
even
after that, it's not necessarily null and void. Because in the divorce process, we got divorced 7 years after she'd been here. So it was an issue, but not a big issue, because frankly, the state of North Dakota didn't know what the fuck to do with this thing.
Well, North Dakota maybe, but my state sure would.
And she didn't have a lot of money to hire a high-powered attorney. So it didn't turn out to be a factor. We had the settlement, no alimony or continuing support.
Did she go back to Canada?
No, she has her green card.
Okay, because the AOS technically doesn't expire until she gets her naturalization, but
she's not going to become a U.S. citizen. That would be silly for a Canadian to become a U.S. citizen if you have a green card.
I agree. It's just I'm just saying, like, that's it does not expire until they get their citizenship. My lawyer explained all this to me. Maybe yours was different rules, but
the details don't matter here.
Right.
The point is, you're on the hook in some manner or form, which may bite you in the ass. It might not. It's unknown territory. It's another string attached to the man if you're a passport bro and you marry a foreign wife.
And these guys, I see so many of them, they don't think about it at all. They just, all they're thinking about is she's hot. And yes, they are hot. Why? Because in any of these cultures, it is only the very best of the women that have a shot. There is not like some large number of passport bros just waiting to come over and pick them up. And they know that. So it tends to be the hot ones that get picked. And they know that. Okay. So you as a guy, you think, oh my God, she's gorgeous. I just want to stick my dick in it. Where do I sign? And guys, the amount of paperwork I had to sign to do this, you take one of those manila envelopes, and I mean a big one. I think if you were to stack the paper, it'd probably be 3 inches thick over all the various paperwork we had to sign, send off. You are tied up with the federal government in ways that you probably don't understand.
And they also check, do you remember that they want you to submit the evidence that it's all legit?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That you've been dating for a while, because they want to avoid these fictitious marriages for documents.
Right, they do. So there's all, so that's part of what you send off. You send off your evidence. You send off all the paperwork. You write checks to USCIS. And so I understand why men say, no, don't do it here. Do it over there. But then you talk to the men who did it over there, Like there's a guy who runs a channel on YouTube called Man Talk. He's a Romanian lawyer, and he will and he has done videos about all the ways that these passport bros come over to Romania, marry a Romanian chick, pop out kids, she divorces, and he gets cleaned out. Okay. Remember what I said. You don't know the law. He does. You don't have the family connections in that country. She does. She has all the power if you go to her country. Okay. And you might think you have all the power if you bring her to this country, but your lawyer is going to tell her all the various ways that she has power over you.
Well, luckily my lawyer didn't do that. I actually didn't know.
She did.
Oh, she did?
Oh, she did.
I don't remember.
She's legally required to.
Here's another thing. Okay, when my wife, former wife came here, we did not have an attorney. She didn't have an attorney. I didn't. We did all the paperwork between the two of us. It was an immense task. There's no way in hell we could have done that unless we are well above average in intelligence. It's a huge task. She did a lot of it. She was a smart woman, still is. Doesn't mean she didn't rebel and say falsehoods later. But the fact is, yes, you can do it. The amount of time and effort is actually a bigger burden than the money. So if you can hire an attorney and afford to do that, and it's $15,000, I'd say that's money well spent. Because man, does it take a lot of time. And you're fumbling through the process. Yeah, maybe they can cut some corners and make it go faster. But it sucks.
It did suck. It felt like it was taking us forever because I was in Spain for like a year and a half until we could.
Well, we didn't decide to do the K1 until about 9 months. The K1 only took 9 months. The lawyer actually made it go faster. There were there were no paperwork. So here's the thing: a paperwork screw up. Oh, guys, so the way it works at CIS is you put your paperwork in, and it's going to sit there for months, and then if there's a screw up, they're going to send you a letter that says, "Here's the screw up. Here's how to fix it," and then you go back to the beginning of the queue and start over again with your fixed paperwork. Okay. Having a lawyer can save you an enormous amount of time. There were no mistakes in our paperwork. So
that was good. Yeah, and we were complying with whatever our lawyer requested. Like she asked my travel history, which is insane because I've traveled a lot for work, and I had to even remember all of the dates because this is what I had to submit to her, and there was the time restraint within.
Guys, lawyers charged by the hour.
Yeah,
lawyers charged by the hour.
I think we all know.
Yeah, there were a lot of hours spent getting the documentation right. A lot,
yeah.
Okay. So yes, having a lawyer was definitely the right thing to do. Again, as you know, that's why I was totaling up the costs, right? Steve, you brought up the AOS. I was just getting to that, but it's hard to put a valuation on something where the federal government can basically say, yeah, it's a blank check. We can take from you.
AOS, affidavit of support.
Yeah, sorry. Yes, AOS. I'm having flashbacks to our immigration journey here, and we had an easy one.
Oh, wait a minute.
We actually had it easy. Yeah.
We're getting off this simple thing. Be a passport bro. Go overseas and find a good woman. Bring her here. Guys. You have no idea what you're getting yourself into. Just in the legal process. And you really, no matter what woman you marry ever, from anywhere, from down the street, the girl next door.
Mm-hmm.
Motivations of women are not always what appears on the surface.
Oh, that's so true.
Or I should say that the motivations of women are always more deeper and more devious than what you think, because all women will present to you the mask that will get what they want.
Yep.
Love, support, whatever. It's not the real her, because that one might scare you away. So yes, that's true of American women, and yes, that's doubly true of foreign women.
Doubly,
they're
because
going to present a false front to you to fall in love with.
Yeah, and also, Steve, it's good that you mentioned it, because there was a lot of time when we didn't see each other, and in this process, and even then we were lucky because my husband could afford to travel, right? But in a lot of cases, they only see each other once, maybe twice, and then all of that time apart that you spend in different countries, it's very tiring. And if a woman is not committed, it's not going to play out well.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw my fiance once or twice a year.
See,
for, could be 4 days, could be a week, could be 2 weeks. She visited me here. Otherwise, it was nightly phone calls, nightly Skype phone calls. Every night.
Skype, yeah.
Skype.
Yeah.
Every night at a certain time, you'd get on and you'd talk for 2 hours.
Yep.
Yeah, things could get a little bit racy at times too, let me tell you. But
no, it's true.
Hey, you know what? It's no fun.
It's not fun,
because the woman you love is not there. You can't do things together. And this is going to go on 2-3 years. It's a huge investment.
And okay, so we were talking, Elena mentioned the evidence that you have to submit. Basically, the evidence is to prove that you have met this person at least once. Okay, that there is some sort of actual relationship there. It's not just an online or paper relationship. So you're going to have to meet this person at least once. How many times you actually do end up meeting is probably mostly a function of where they are. So what I mean by that is, Steve was saying, oh yeah, we did twice a year. Well, US to Canada isn't that difficult. If you're, I don't know where she was. You said Toronto. So, maybe you just drove, maybe you flew, but it was.
Remember, I couldn't go there because I didn't have a passport and couldn't get one.
Okay. So she flies or she drives over.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Well, she didn't drive. She didn't have a driver's license till she moved here. You don't need one in Toronto.
Oh,
it's like New York City. You don't need a driver's license, and it costs a lot of money to have a car and have a place to park it and all that. And she was poor.
Okay, so you had to pay to fly her in. Okay, so you see them twice a year, but if you go to a country like the Philippines or Russia, so Russia at the time was 3 flights. Okay, so I would have had to take a flight to it was 2 or 3 depending on the time of day, the days you wanted to go, because there were no flights from the US to Russia on certain days, and the flights to Russia that were available were always out of JFK. So it would either be from where I was to JFK to Russia, or it would be from where I was to some intermediate point in
Europe,
and then onward to.
You go through Amsterdam a few times, or no, you didn't go to Russia, so
no, I still went.
We went through Amsterdam
a few times.
So
you're going to be spending a lot of money doing this. It's going to cost a lot of time. Russia's also a big country. You meet a village girl, right? So to get into Russia,
to get into the village.
right? Okay, so to get into Russia, you have to go through Moscow or St. Petersburg. That's it. Those are your choices. Okay, so but Russia's a huge country. Now you've got to fly to a village somewhere. Okay.
Well, you have to take a train, most likely. Take a 2-day train.
No, sweetie. Like so let's say you wanted to date somebody who's living over in Vladivostok. It would have been Moscow, flight to Vladivostok, train to wherever the girl was.
Yes, from that point. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
It's actually how long it takes to get to my town. Even you have to take a train. Or you have to drive, from the airport place to even my town.
So, okay, let's talk the Philippines. Well, let's say you're on the East Coast of the United States. Your first stop's going to be San Francisco. Your next stop's probably going to be Singapore. And then on. That's a 20-hour haul. Okay. That's a $5,000 economy class ticket. So this is not something you're going to do very often.
So we'll call it Newark to San Francisco to Singapore to Manila, and then the last leg, whether it's air or train or bus or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, even I adopted 2 babies, 2 daughters from Korea. When I went over, and brought him back. My wife, the first wife, didn't want to go. I've got a theory for that. Anyway, I went over. So at the time I was in Duluth, I think. So I got to Minneapolis. Minneapolis, flew to Tokyo, and then Tokyo to Seoul. You can get some direct flights, but I don't know that Minneapolis flies direct to Seoul. It doesn't fly to Tokyo. There are probably, if I flew, from Minneapolis, I could probably go to San Francisco and then to Seoul. So anyway, you're looking at 2 legs.
Long legs.
Pretty much anywhere you go, if you don't live in the big cities in the U.S., you're looking at a minimum of a 2-hop flight, if not 3 hops, to get to her. The cost, holy shit, the cost of visiting is immense. You have to be a wealthy or a middle class, upper middle class guy to be able to even think about this.
And this is just financial math, guys. We're not talking about all the frame you need. We're not talking about the game you need. We're not talking about any of that yet. We're just talking about the financial logistics of making this happen. Yeah. Okay. So, as Elena said, you're not going to see them very often. So you're going to have to develop a high tolerance for trust. That the woman is going to do what she says, and a high tolerance, and just accept the idea that she might not be doing that. When Rich Cooper just kept saying vet, I'm going, yes. The daily Skype calls actually end up being very important. So when you're doing this, you don't have physical proximity working for you. So the only form of relationship you have is the one that you consciously build over Skype or FaceTime or whatever the kids are using these days.
Okay, I had an advantage because I was in Minnesota most of the time. I was in Washington State for a bit of the time too, for these nightly Skype calls. She was in Toronto. So time differences are not huge. We would have evening calls. Now, if you're South America, it'd be somewhat similar. But if you're talking Eastern Europe, now you got that time difference.
It was
if you're having a nightly call, and it's my evening when I have the time, and her evening when she has the time. Mostly, if you talk, let's say from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m., most people really don't go out then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, depending on where the place is. Yeah, maybe the nightlife starts after that. But if you're in a different time frame and you're calling every evening, and what time is it her time? So, you know what? She might have her evenings free.
So if you're talking about Eastern Europe, she would.
So you can't even vouch for her whereabouts if you're not talking to her in her evenings, which is to going out, getting into trouble time.
This is what we actually did, right? Because you would call me at lunchtime, your time.
So I would call my lunchtime, which worked out to be, so Spain is +7. So that's dinner time there. And so I would call it lunch. I moved my schedule so that I could keep track of her evenings. She's sitting there going,
smart.
And look, even then there were some days where she's like, look, I can't right now. And I just had to trust that she wasn't out there fucking around.
I wasn't, but yeah, if I couldn't, it's
Well,
either work or
Oh, and she had to go home to Russia occasionally. Well, that's a totally different time scale. I call it lunch, and now it's 11.
Mm-hmm.
It's 11 at night. Now, most of the time, I could verify that she was at home in those cases. But
in Russia at 11 at night, you bet I was at home. I wouldn't go out anyway.
One of the things that I want to make very clear is that there are no guarantees in this. Yeah. These women have far more opportunity for bad behavior than you do in a relationship of physical proximity.
That's so true.
It just is. And you just have to build a tolerance for that. And so you have to be comfortable with the idea of not just out independence, but you have to become comfortable with the idea of walking away. You find something out about her and you go, nope, we're done.
So American men look.
It's always cheaper to do it up front than in the long run.
Amen.
Yeah.
See, American men look at American women and say, oh, there's no good women here. I have better chances going overseas. First of all, it's going to cost you a boatload of money and time and effort, and you have no idea. And then you have no idea of the culture you're dealing with and whether she's playing you. So overall, your chances of a successful long-term marriage and actually seeing your kids and growing up with them are no better than if you married an American woman. And if anything, the risks are greater. So this passport bro thing, it's kind of like a fairy tale.
It kind of is, yeah. Especially how men view it. If they only consider the superficial layer, then they're going to get screwed.
Look, as I said, and I'm going to keep saying this. Now, as you all can probably guess, I'm partial to the Eastern European physiognomy. Okay. There are an enormous number of heartbreakingly beautiful women over there. And they know that they're going to use, that's their weapon. They're going to use that to their maximum advantage.
Yeah.
They don't want you thinking about all of these potential problems. Okay. Even Elena doesn't necessarily want me thinking about all these potential problems. She just didn't have a choice because I'd already thought about them. So when you're doing this, there is this huge, and I mean huge, biological pull, because you will be talking to 7s, 8s, 9s, not as many 10s, because the 10s tend to do well no matter they tend to do well in their countries. The 9s and 10s,
Yeah,
they can get what they want.
Yeah,
but
they don't need to.
but there is a large number of 7s and 8s out there, and they will talk to you. They will give you what you want. They will tell you that they're going to give you what they want. Okay. And you know, it's flattering. Guys, it fucks with your head even if you have the strongest frame out there. I'm not gonna say that you know, like I was immune to this or anything like that. And that girl on your screen, let's just say she knows how to rock a pair of short shorts.
I don't do it publicly. It doesn't mean that I don't know how.
So, you know, like even she knew what she was selling. Okay.
I gotta tell this story. You'll laugh. It's so true of female behavior. It was the first time I talked to my ex-wife. We just met. We were talking on Skype. And, you know, flirtation and hormones are running high. And her kids had not gone to bed yet. You know what she was lamenting? She couldn't take her shirt off and show me her tits.
I didn't have to do that, thanks God.
But hey, am I saying she's different or bad or anything? No, I'm not. I'm just saying women want to show off. Why are they on OnlyFans? You'll find any woman.
Yeah.
She wants to display herself to you. You're the man.
Yeah.
She wants to entice you, and it's not manipulative. She just has this desire to show herself to you.
Yeah, well, it's okay when she only wants to show herself to her man.
Right.
One man, but
So
not publicly, right? Like, no, not
Yeah.
to everyone.
Okay, so Tactica says,
okay, these phone calls are gonna get a little bit spicy, and you're gonna be sucked in.
oh goodness, are you ever?
That.
So Tacticus has a question. Advice on vetting. Look, I hate to say this, but vetting over Skype is really, it's low value vetting. It's less about what you do than more about the consistency of doing it at all. Does she show up? Is she, does she show up consistently for the calls?
Mm-hmm.
Put the calls at a time that would be inconvenient for her social life. Is she willing to give up her social life for the call? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not really about the call itself. It's about what you're doing with the call. So do it consistently, put them at times that are socially inconvenient for her, and then watch how she responds to that. Because one of the things you'll see, and different guys have talked about this in different videos, is they'll be really into it for the first couple months, but then they'll start missing the calls more and more.
Mm-hmm.
You see that kind of behavior, pull the plug, get a new one.
So
okay.
What Plutarch is saying here, yes, you can love her, and you should. You can be totally enthralled, but you need to keep a little portion of your brain separate.
Yep.
It's the skeptical. Is she playing me? No, I have to set this up so it's inconvenient. No, I shouldn't trust her implicitly because I could be being played. There is no way to know. Did I do that? I'd say no. It turned, that there was no problem with that aspect. That's not where the divorce came from. It had to do with her past and her throwing me under the bus, which, hey, same damn thing happened in my first marriage. It was past baggage that she never revealed, which then causes her to blame the man and discard him. It had nothing to do with vetting. My first marriage was the outcome was the same fucking thing. So vetting is not the thing. I didn't have that separate part being suspicious, but we had the calls every night. She wasn't out there screwing around. I knew that. And I'll still swear by that. There were no signs of that. But you still have to be aware of this, and I advise men to be more cautious than I was. I don't think you're going to be, but I still advise it.
Mhm.
Well, look, the signs of a woman cheating on you are pretty much universal. If you're looking for the signs on an American woman, they're going to work on an Eastern European woman or Asian woman or any of that. I mean, that part is just keep doing what you're doing from the red pill standpoint anyway. Okay. You have to take it and kind of make your situation work in that and around that. And that's why I said, okay, check out her consistency with the calls. If she stays consistent with them, she can probably be a consistent woman because that's who she is.
And if it's for extended period of time, because like Plutarch, like you mentioned before, she could do it for a couple of months.
Exactly.
But then if she finds somebody better, she will start, ditching.
Oh, she will.
Nick,
So
if you
what are the
vet
signs
an
of-
American woman, do you actually really know her past? And can you effectively vet an American woman to understand whether she's a good bet for the long term?
You can vet, but it's all imperfect. You never have a guarantee that you know everything. Probably never will.
Yeah.
But you can deal with the information that you have.
I would say vetting is not a lot of people want to treat vetting as an absolute. Like, I vetted her. Why did she do this? No.
Mhm.
Vetting is about probabilities.
Yeah.
Okay. The more information you have about her behavior, the more accurately you can predict her behavior moving forward. And, Tacticus is talking about, you can't see how they interact with their parents and whatnot. That's absolutely true. This is why going and visiting them in their country is so important.
Mhm.
Now, I didn't see her parents in her country, but I did meet. They came to Spain and we met up there. So you can get some limited views of the interactions, but understand that, and we've talked about this before on our channel, on the Resurgence. Women can do about 6 months of acting.
Yeah.
It's somewhere there, 6 to 9 months of acting. And then eventually the lies start to, if they're telling lies, they start to pile up and you can start to figure it out. You do not have that in this process. Okay. All you get is your 1 hour, half hour, maybe on the weekends, your 2 hour phone conversation. And that's it. And she can go back to being whoever she was. This is how, and I'm going to say a name that's pretty popular in the red pill right now, but that is how Andrew Tate made his money. Is the fact that these women could have multiple men and they would just talk to the different men at different times of the day. He would even have guys in the background who were typing what he told the guys to type. So if it wasn't a voice call. So these are well-known strategies by both the men and the women. Some of these women on these sites are run by various organized crime. That's pretty popular in Eastern Europe. So you've got to be aware of that. And they'll talk to you. These women will talk to you. Remember, they're trying to scam you. They'll do what they need to do to get the money out of you.
Mhm.
So, You know, at some point, if you have any amount of frame, you're going to figure out that you're being taken and you'll leave. So that's good. But it's what Steve was saying. You've got to keep this part of your brain that is just completely disconnected from any of the emotion of the relationship. And it's just watching and analyzing.
Okay. In the US, in general, women have a lot of opportunity here to get jobs, even compete against men for tech jobs, whatever. They're paid pretty well. Even so, they still choose the traditional, generally, they choose traditional female careers. Teacher, nurse,
secretary,
store clerk, secretary, child care worker. Okay. In other areas, patriarchy is still stronger than it is in the US. So women do not have the opportunities there. And you see this in the US where women exploit their sexuality. You know, they look for a sugar daddy. They go on OnlyFans. They go on all paid expense trips to Dubai.
Yeah,
that happens here to our women.
Yep.
In these other countries, women do not have a lot of times they don't have great financial opportunity. And if she's hot, is she going to want to work a retail job at a subsistence wage, or she can exploit or use her beauty for something else and just type away at a computer or show up online and play a role to extract resources? You know what? Some of these women are doing it because it is the most viable economic thing they can do. They're trying to survive, first and foremost, but also they want to buy nice stuff. Designer handbags, shoes, nice fashion, makeup,
cars,
whatever. And so, you know, if there's not a lot of opportunities economically for women to make money, and damn, that might require actual work. But showing up and looking pretty and getting paid for it, wow, that sounds like a good job.
It sounds like a lazy job.
Well,
I mean,
no. These girls put in a lot of hours actually to do this. When I was on the website that Elena and I met on, I actually very quickly figured out who the scammers were. They all have roughly the same script, and I don't know if it's the same script today, so I'm not gonna say it, then have you guys get run over by it. You're gonna have to go out there and keep your wits about you. Okay, but there was a very definite script that these women were following, and I could watch myself go, oh damn, that's, I can see myself getting sucked in. Oh nope, gotta stop. Okay, but I could feel myself getting sucked into it. It's very emotional, and like I said, you're staring at a picture of this devastatingly beautiful woman. Doesn't actually have to be the person you're talking to, of course, and you're getting this sob story. So I was doing this in 2014. And as you guys may recall, there was a certain geopolitical event happening in 2014 in Eastern Europe. And oh, dear God, the sob stories I got.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man. It was, and I'm telling you, some of these women are brain-stoppingly just gorgeous. Okay. Now, again, I don't know if that's who I was talking to, but good Lord, you get sucked in quick. And they would do things
that's
like
Sir Save-A-Ho.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, feels oh man, that's so wonderful to put on your Sir Save-A-Ho cape.
Captain Save-A.
Right. You have
Yeah.
You know, you guys have heard me say this before on both of our channels. Frame over everything. And the reason I say that is in part because of my time as a passport bro. Strength would not save me in a foreign country. Money, here's another thing. There's an entire class of women who they're real women. They're gorgeous women. They will meet you. They are not associated with the criminal element, but they will happily invite you into their country. They'll even put you up in their own living space, but you're going to pay for everything. And they will have a roster of men. It was actually well known that the city of Odessa was called the City of Love. Still is. I don't know if it still is because of the war going on, but it was well known that there was groups of women. They'd be 7s, 8s, and 9s, and they would just have a rotation of men that would come in, and they would just schedule these men in week after week after week. And they would just they wouldn't try and scam you out of money. You would just be expected to pay for everything for that woman for a week. And then you'd go. And yes, she would have sex with you. And then she'd have sex with the next guy the next week.
Just the cost of doing business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's another thing that I don't know how much of that goes on in Asia. They have different they do have different cultural norms about that kind of stuff. But hey, Eastern I like my Eastern European girls, apparently, judging by what's on screen up there. So, so this was something that I had to be aware of, is that these girls could be doing this to you. And they're not, that's it. They're not associated with organized crime. They're not, they're not, they're not doing anything. They are literally just sugar daddy or sugar babies. And they just have a lot of them. But they have no intention of actually being with you specifically. You're just another paycheck.
It's just your turn.
Yeah, it's another Rich Cooperism. She's not yours. It's just your turn.
It's time for you to say NAWALT.
What? Why would I say that?
Oh, he means
it's time
me.
for Elena.
Oh, Elena.
To say NAWALT.
No, I'm not going to say it, guys. I know better.
No, well, it's kind of true. Not all women are like that.
Yeah, good luck finding the ones who are
True.
not like that.
That is true.
No, it is true.
It is true.
Today. They're not like that today.
On a limited basis. Right now, not all women are like that. Not all women are out to scam you. Yes, it is possible to find that one rare jewel.
Hey,
it is possible. But she's still a woman.
Uh-huh.
And that doesn't mean she's not a woman or doesn't have the nature of a woman. So there are certain things that all women are like that. So in the future, if you're not on top of your game and aware, and if you relax and become lazy, yes, there's a good chance she will become like all other women and take you to the cleaners. So there's no guarantees in life, guys. Wherever you find a woman, do not expect to find a ready-made woman. You have to find a woman who's capable, has the capacity and virtues to follow you. You're going to have to lead and have dominion and authority and exercise that. And don't put up with her shit. Because the minute, we saw that in the Rich Cooper thing. You try to please her, buy her things to make her happy. Holy shit. Dance, monkey, dance.
Yeah.
That's a road to disaster.
So there's no hypergamy insurance, and hey, she'll love you forever for today.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. And we're going to keep hammering on this.
Change.
Well, and I'm personally going to keep hammering on this hypergamy insurance thing. because I think it is the biggest grift, and I think hypergamy insurance has one-shotted most of the red pill.
But what if she has genuine burning desire for you today?
For today, right?
Yeah, she does today. There is. So, guys, the other thing that passport broing taught me is that there is absolutely nothing you can do today to prevent her from exercising her agency tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I can give you all sorts of different tips and tricks that will improve your odds. Okay, but at the end of the day, as Nick said, there is no hypergamy insurance. And gentlemen, I'm telling you right now, American women are the easiest. They're okay. These particular Eastern European women expect a man, and they have a very high definition of a man. If you do not have frame, she will chew you up and spit you out. Okay.
Wait, do you think my husband would be if he didn't have frame? Like, seriously?
Oh, it's time for Elena to tell us some stories about how
Yes,
Russian women treat women.
I'm so glad that you guys brought it up. Thank you, Plutarch.
Oh no, here we go.
I was sharing the videos, guys. I was sharing some short videos that my dad kindly was sending to me because his friends are sharing these videos with him, and then I would translate them, and then I shared a few videos with you guys so that you can see how Russian men talk to Russian women. And yeah, Russian men have to do it because statistically women outnumber by large the men, and if men have some status, some resources, and it's just their self-defense mechanism, they have to do it. And these are the men that, you know, would be considered as mean or nasty, like Western women would call them, but yet Russian women are attracted to these kinds of men.
Oh, well, women are attracted to those kinds of men, and the red pills made that very clear. You know, sorry, guys.
That explains some things.
Yeah. To all you red pill haters, you're wrong. The reality is that in the United States, both the men and the women have it the easiest. The American women actually require less of their men than the average Asian or Eastern European or Latina. They come from patriarchal societies, and they have a very defined view of what a man is and what he should be. You are absolutely expected to provide for the whole family. You are absolutely expected to have you don't have to have a high paying job necessarily. They're used to working with not a whole lot, but you are expected to work, and you are expected to work hard. And don't complain about your hurts and your aches and your pains and, oh, you know, how hard my job is.
Emotionally vulnerable. Fuck it.
They don't.
Women don't care, guys, especially in Eastern
and don't buy the lie that she wants you to actually tell her your problems. I bought into that bull crap.
Well,
we gotta be best friends, you know. No, it creates more disgust. Bad idea. Don't listen to those pastors. Bad advice.
If you go to a country that is more patriarchal, more macho, whatever, however you wanted to describe it, more traditional, and you say women or men treat their women more harshly, absolutely true.
Yep.
Which means there's always kind of a balance of power. So that's trained the women to be more subtly manipulative.
Oh, hell yes.
So now if you, as an American passport bro, come in, I'm going to show you what a nice guy I am and how I'm actually going to treat you better. And, you know, you'll love me for that.
They will
No,
take
she's
no,
gonna think,
Steve,
what
wait
kind of
a
man
sec.
are you? Where are your balls? And I can just manipulate the fuck out of you.
Exactly.
Yes,
I'm telling
yes.
you, they won't say no. Okay, they are
Yeah,
witty about it. They will
they
never
won't say no.
no, but they will take you to the cleaners. They will extract every single penny out of you.
Oh yeah. Oh God, yes, they will. And they will
You're
do it.
such a kind and nice person,
They
right?
They will do it with a smile on their face and their legs open.
Yes,
They will.
They will love bomb you. They will because they are more willing to do that than Western women. They
Yes.
realize that it's
Yeah.
a trade for them. They are getting something in exchange. Yeah.
And this is true of Eastern Europeans, of Latin Americans, of Asians,
Mhm.
of Africans, even. They all do it because all of those societies are less are less milquetoast, less. They have less weak men than we do.
Yeah. Even if men make less resources there, they kind of have to have the spine because there are still fewer men, especially statistically in Russia. There have been always 10% more women than men there statistically. So women were fighting for men, right? This explains why women tend to take care of their appearance more in those countries.
Oh yeah.
Because they are fighting for ever shrinking number of resourceful men. And now, thanks to war, we have even fewer men.
Hey, maybe. Hey, Nick. Instead of being a passport bro, how about if you go find some wholesome American woman? Let's say you're from the big East Coast cities and you want to find just an American woman. Would you advise they move to South Dakota and find a woman who's not corrupted by all this stuff?
It's going to be the same everywhere. They're all corrupted. They all go to public schools, most of them anyways. I mean, it's all around you. I mean, South Dakota, where I was at, there was not even a single male judge in the district.
Wow.
Jesus.
And you wonder why I knew I was fucked.
Yeah.
Well, there's another corollary here. So, Elena's describing these guys, these macho dudes. I had a friend of mine who, when he found out I was dating a Russian, he's like, "Oh boy, are you in for it?" And I was like, "Well, why?" And he said, "Because Russian men are cowboys. They're wild." And they are. These are guys who, I mean, Russian society is no joke. It is a tough society, and it breeds tough men. Gentlemen, you've got to out alpha that.
Damn, because Russian women will only respect strength and frame, when you can out alpha the men that they have inside the country.
Oh yeah. That's what you got to do. Like, if you actually want genuine burning desire from a Russian woman, you need ironclad, titanium coated frame. Okay. And then you've got to be able to play the game, because these are women who they are expert game players because there's a limited pool of men. They have to be better than other women at playing the game.
Okay, I'm going to bring up something that I know nothing about. I'm just imagining.
Okay.
In the U.S., we have all these abuse type laws threatening laying hands on a woman in any shape, manner, or form. No, I'm not in favor of that. But where we draw the line is not necessarily, and I'm imagining, is not the same place that other countries draw the line.
Hey, Elena, where does Russia draw the
So
line?
some women, or women from other countries, actually expect, or it may take things that are not permissible in the U.S. to keep them in line.
That you're right, Steve. Well, I'm not talking about St. Petersburg and Moscow here, okay? Not these big civilized cities. I'm talking about like a village, right? Where, even in my hometown, I'll tell you a story. This is a true story. It really, really happened. There was one lady, she was living for many, many years in Spain. Then one day she decided to come back to visit her relatives to my hometown. It happened in my hometown. And a few days later, her body was found dead next to the River Don. So what happened, my mom told me that she was hanging out with the local guys in my town, and she behaved herself how she used to. And she was living in Spain for like 15 or 20 years, enough time for her to reset her brain, to reset her customs, right? And then she didn't readjust her behavior when she went back to Russia. So she got raped, and then they unalived her, you know? And it does happen. So look, there is a reason why I'm saying what I'm saying. When I was at 11 p.m. at home in Russia talking to my future husband, instead of going out and hanging out there, especially without a man.
I want to go to something much more milder than that. Let's say your wife is just hysterical and is ranting and raving, and she'll get physical more than you. Let's just say you grab her by the arm, just squeeze. You do that in the US. Well, you do that anywhere. Women bruise very, very easily. You're probably going to leave a mark, and just that amount of restraint. Okay, in other countries, okay, no big deal.
Yeah, in Russia, it's
almost expected.
It's not
but in the US, if you do that, no, you cannot do that here. So you import a woman from those countries who's expecting she can escalate to that point and be restrained, and okay, she ends up with a little bruise. That's acceptable in her culture.
She is in a Western country, and her girlfriends will tell her you can squeeze more resources out of this guy if you just report him as an abuser. She's going to do that, right? She's going to abuse local.
But my point is, maybe because culturally she grew up with that level of balance of power, does it require that level of physical force, whatever you want to call it, to maintain the status quo, whereas you cannot use that level of force? And in American mind, we as men, no, I'm not going to go that far, which puts you at a disadvantage because she's not raised in our culture.
Okay, Steve, I'm going to run with this for a little bit. So there are passport gals too. And they get into all kinds of trouble because they'll go marry a Russian, go live in Russia, and then they'll find out that if you're in Russia and you're a woman and your guy reaches out and physically restrains you, maybe even shakes you, slaps you, and she's thinking, "Oh, I'm going to go call the police." The only thing you're going to hear on the other end of the phone is uncontrolled laughing. Okay. The Russian police do not respond to that kind of phone call. They don't.
Well, now with like in bigger cities, they show in the movies like they do, but I wonder how much of this is actually true and how much of this is propaganda to appease, let's say.
No, there is something else going on with the war now.
Yeah.
And so the police now have a reason to start incarcerating more men for this kind of stuff. But up until the start of the war, they really didn't. And there were tons of stories of these women finding out that they thought they would call the police and the police would come protect them, and they just got laughed at.
Yeah, true.
And
I just want to point out the cultural norms here are not the same as the cultural norms in other places.
Yeah.
And it can work against you if you don't understand what the cultural norms are in their place, in their upbringing. Whether you're a man or a woman, the boundaries of behavior are in a different place.
I remember Myron shared a video on Twitter. It was a Russian girl in the club somewhere, and she tried to attack a man. Like, she went for him, and he just slapped her. She fell down, kicked her head on the counter, and like, she didn't die or anything. It's just, she was very unhappy, and then they just told her go away, and then she was like, okay. She went away. I'm not saying that kind of behavior is okay. My dad, personally, he would only raise voice on my mom a few times, and he wouldn't do these things. But a lot of men in Russia, they go physical. Like, they have to, because women are provoking it. They want it. You know, if a woman understands it on a conscious level, that if you can like talk to her normally, then you don't have to default to these tactics. But sometimes when a woman is combative as hell, it's like, sure,
like some Russian women can be.
let me point something out.
Okay, some, not just Russian women. I watched Donovan's show yesterday. There was one woman there on the show, and I think it was one of the black women. And like, she was like going non-stop, you know, and like, she needs some serious spanking. You know, like seriously. And look, somebody needs to turn off your microphone and like put some restrictions on your behavior.
Let me point something out, Elena. You just said how your dad dealt with your mother. He didn't get physical and show that level of sternness. And she rebelled, and now they're divorced. Did she require a stronger hand?
She did require, she wanted, she was provoking him. And I talked to my dad about it. He said, look, I'm not that kind of a man who, it's just, you know, in his mind, he wasn't raised that way. And in his mind, it's not okay to raise a hand on a woman. But a lot of women, they are demanding it, you know? And the only way to restrain them is to go like, punch you a few times.
That's my point. As an American, you're going to go in there with the attitude that Elena's father had.
Yeah.
And because he wasn't that kind of man, wasn't willing to do that. And I'm not criticizing him at all. He ended up divorced. So if you go in there trying to be the nice guy when force is required by her cultural upbringing, it might not end up well for you.
Well, my father actually filed for divorce because I'm just saying that, you know, some women, they are just that high maintenance. They will require physical.
So I also I have not laid hands on Elena in aggression. There are other stories. Hey, what I'll say is we're married, guys. There's a certain, I get to do things. But what I did do was make sure that she understood the consequences of that. I wasn't going to put hands on her, but that if she got out of bounds, that there are other consequences to her. Yeah. I filed for divorce once. I know who to call to make it happen again. I don't suffer female, you know, the truly bad behavior. I don't suffer it very well.
Yeah.
I didn't in the past, and I won't suffer it in the future.
Oh, I know. And look, there are other ways how to restrain women too. It doesn't have to be physical, but for some women, they just don't get it any other way.
Let me suggest something. You don't want to lay hands on a woman in anger or to control, but in the playful, consensual nature of a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
you can still demonstrate your dominance and your physical strength.
Yep.
In a playful manner, just absolutely restrain her, pin her down during a sexual act or whatever, and say, hey, I bet you can't get away.
So
and let her try, and she can't, and then she surrenders. She feels your strength. It's not controlling. It's not mean. He just gets to feel the strength in a completely safe way. I think that's healthy.
So it's about once a week, sometimes more if she's not behaving well, and I'll do stuff like that. Usually, what I'll do is I will. I don't know. Maybe we'll get in trouble for this. I will take. I'll take both of her hands and wrap them. So I'll put her in like a hug, but I'll take both of her hands and wrap them around her back, and then she's pinned. She can't move. She can't move her arms. She can't do anything. Yeah, she's smiling. She knows what I'm talking about. The other thing is kitchen counters are the perfect height for pinning people. I'm just saying.
You're giving them the ideas, you know. Like...
She loves when you do that.
I know she does.
Because you know what? It's fun for her because she can try all with her entire strength and use it against you, knowing she's going to lose. And that, ironically, is a comfortable place for a woman to be.
Tacticus. I'm not going to pull that up, but I see what you did there. I am not going to pull that one up. And Nick's reaction should tell you why. If you're in the chat, you guys, you'll figure it out. So, and here's the thing. That kind of stuff is expected in other cultures. Again, you're going to have to know the culture you're going into. You've got to know the culture of the sub-region you're going into. Brazil is not the same as Colombia, guys. Albania is not the same as Russia. Okay? You've got to do all this research ahead of time to get a general feel for what it's like. Then you have to research the women, but she doesn't speak your language. Even if she's ESL, even if she can do English, idioms, Elena still struggles with idioms, and it can be quite hilarious sometimes. And the guys will tell you that they run into the occasional thing, and she just completely gets it wrong, and they go, well, okay. So your communication is never, your verbal communications, that sort of game where we do that subtle wordplay banter. Yeah, throw that away. That's useless to you in passport broing. Most of the time, the women are going to go look at you and go, huh? You're not going to get that sort of tee-hee-hee that you would get out of an American woman. This is what I mean when I say American women are easier in many respects. You share the same culture. You share the same language. You share the same idioms and social steganography, like cap, right? We say cap for lying. You say cap to an ESL person in a foreign country, and they're going to look at you like, why are you talking about headwear? Right?
Well, I got that. Like sometimes, when I spend enough time.
You've been immersed in American social media culture for years now, which many men would say that I should never let you do. And I agree with them to some extent. So,
now everyone has to suffer me.
Pretty much. So this is just me giving back to the world. Anyway, so
it's not all that bad, darling.
So there's a lot of game that doesn't apply. And so you're going to have to do other things to demonstrate your mastery. You're going to have to do, and I'm using the term mastery here because there's more than just dominance. I'm talking about your mastery of understanding female nature, your mastery of working with women. That witty banter that you can do with people in your own culture just isn't there. And a lot of guys, a lot of red pill guys will go out, try the passport bro thing, thinking, oh yeah, I'm just going to run my game on her and get blown apart and not understand why. And it's just, yeah, it's like I said, you'll throw in some word that you've grown up with culturally, like cap, and then the woman will look at you and go, why are you talking about headwear?
Yeah.
You know, like they,
I mean, that you should understand. Well, maybe I'm assuming that they're intelligent when they actually aren't. You would assume guys would understand that the difference between, strict definitions or strict-ish definitions and idioms when they're talking to somebody who that's not their language.
I would have thought that too. And you guys,
just saying,
you guys know where my intelligence level lies. Even then, in conversations with Elena, we were doing those Skype conversations. I would just casually throw one out, and she'd be like, "Huh? What does that mean?"
You're like, "Oh yeah, you're great."
And guys, you want to know something really, really kind of sad? To this day, I will randomly throw something out that she's never heard, and she'll be like, "What does that mean?"
Cool beans.
Well, it's not. This is not a her problem. This is, when you import a woman from a foreign culture and a foreign language, you cannot expect them to immediately just grasp all the nuances of your social slang, and it's a social class slang that you speak. And I read a lot, and so I've picked up a lot of different idioms from across time, and I'll throw one out there, and then she'll go, "What was that?" And I'll have to sit there and think, yeah, what does that actually really mean? Sometimes I don't even realize what I'm saying sometimes.
This never changes. My grandmother moved to the US when she was 17. Married my grandfather, my paternal grandfather. He was 13 years older than her. He was Swedish. She was Norwegian. Okay, so, and he spoke Norwegian, or Swedish Norwegian. They're very similar. But, okay, he died when I was like 1 month old. But I remember my grandmother. She always spoke with kind of a Norwegian accent. And to the day she died, she kept her milk in the Frigidaire. There was no refrigerator. She never updated her language. It was the Frigidaire. So there were things about U.S. culture that even when she, I don't know, she must have been 80 plus when she died. Some of those things never changed, and she didn't adapt to the language. She always called it the Frigidaire.
Right. So, this actually brings up another interesting point. All the guys are saying, oh, you bring her here, she's going to adopt all the American feminist stuff. No. She's going to adopt the parts of it that benefit her. Hell yes. But when you bring somebody into this country particularly for the purpose of marriage, they adopt some of the culture, but they keep other parts of their own culture. To this day, Elena has hard and fast rules about thou shalt not wear shoes in the house.
Yep.
Now, some Americans would say, oh yeah, I've got those too. But most Americans have no problem wearing their shoes around the house. I grew up wearing shoes in the house.
Another thing, my grandmother could never ride a bicycle in the U.S., even though she rode one in Norway. She could not figure out how the brakes worked on an American bike, the old bikes, because you pedal backwards, the coaster brake. Yeah. No, it's got to have one of those kind of brakes where you squeeze the handle. So she never rode a bicycle. My dad told me this. He couldn't figure them out.
So another thing that came up, I mentioned I had to buy her a car. And I mentioned that she had to that because she didn't have a car in Barcelona. You don't need one. What do you?
You don't need
What's
one. Yeah.
what do you mean? If I want to go somewhere, I get on the subway or I get on the train.
I had a driver's license. I knew how to drive a car, but
She knew how to drive, but she knew
Yeah.
how to drive in Europe.
I did drive a little bit. Yeah, it just
Right, but she knew how to drive in Europe, and that's
Yeah.
different than it is here. She had to relearn all the signage, what it means.
Mhm,
We
it's
actually put
different.
her through the same driving school that you put your teenagers through. All up driving school, full thing. And
Mhm.
she worked with my dad additionally on top of that.
Yeah.
Now, my dad's an awesome guy, and he's been driving for many, many years and has taught other drivers, myself
Mhm.
included.
Yeah.
And there was another reason to have my dad do it. Have you ever tried training your wife?
You did it once. I almost bumped into something.
Actually, yes. I taught my ex-wife to drive successfully.
Wow.
It's a lot of work, isn't
But
it, Steve?
we didn't really get into it. Okay, yeah, I tended to tell her a bit too much and keep on telling her too much after she kind of knew the basics. But she didn't get overly upset about it, which is a credit to her. And actually a credit to me that I could actually do it. It kind of it demonstrates that, yeah, we had a good marriage at one point.
Mhm.
Because that is almost impossible to do. And yet, it didn't end well.
I think your father also, darling, didn't your father teach your mother how to drive?
Yep.
He did, yeah.
Yeah. And it's not to say that I had nothing to do with teaching Elena how to drive. It was a family of there was a lot of people involved with teaching her how to drive.
Village, yeah.
Yeah, it took a village to teach her how to drive. So because, obviously my dad wouldn't be around all the time, but we'd go over to their house, and then, we'd go out, we'd practice driving with her a little bit, or she wanted to go somewhere, so I'd have her drive, and then I'd sit right seat, and oh God, it was terrifying for a while.
What, to sit next to me while I was driving?
Yes.
Why?
Well, because you didn't recognize the signage necessarily. You didn't necessarily.
True, yeah.
Remember, she's coming. She did learn how to drive, but the signs are all different in Europe.
Mm.
So
when she should start pressing the brake to slow down, she doesn't. And so she comes up to the end and then hits them hard.
I'm actually
it's
more
a little bit
careful of the
unsteady.
driver than he
no,
is.
her
start
thing is she
slowing down
brakes too
way in
soon.
advance, yes.
She does too soon.
Oh, okay.
Well, the other thing is there's a mindset shift from kilometers to miles.
Oh yeah, that was difficult for me.
See?
It still is. I'm still struggling with it.
Yeah. So, but I mean, we're doing examples now. This is story time now, but the point is that, a woman will pick up parts of the culture that are beneficial to her very quickly, but she's never going to become just like any other American girl. Elena is not just like any other American girl. She still has some very, very Russian cultural things. The shoes thing, for example. And I know it's not just Russians with the shoes, but
well, in Europe, it's also very common to wear shoes inside the house. So I had to beat all of our friends who were coming over to our place. Take off your shoes.
Right.
They
Okay.
would complain too.
So, that's just an example of something where she is still very Russian. She has some other still very Russian attitudes about home life that you guys would go, huh? It's not bad. It's just different. And they're not necessarily going to give those things up. And now the red pill guys would say
those things will never all disappear.
Just like her accents
Don't
never disappear.
Don't ever be a passport bro, marry a foreign wife, and think she's just going to understand your culture or why you do things. I mean,
Yep.
no, it's not. It's just not going to happen. she's going to pick up on some of the bad feminism if she's living here.
Yeah, oh yeah.
She's okay. The things you don't want her to learn, she's going to learn. The things you want her to learn, she won't necessarily learn.
Well, even then I got help because I studied in the US college in Europe. So I was kind of familiar with the
her degree. We didn't have to do anything special to get her degree, for her degree to be valid in the United States, because she went to a U.S. accredited college. So, for what it's worth, she doesn't use her degree much.
Yeah, I don't. Well, except for like debunking feminist bullshit. I guess.
Propaganda. Her degree just should really just be titled propagandist.
Yeah.
Which,
well, I mean, it's communications and mass media.
Communications and mass media with a minor in psychology, which is pretty much just the propagandist's playbook.
Yeah.
Oh. So she's not a deep cover agent.
No. She's just really good at figuring out how people think and how to get them to think how she wants them to think.
Well, we did watch With You Lie to Me show a couple of times. So
yeah, she really likes micro expressions.
I can kind of see what
guys
people are going through.
And okay, this is another point. So she had watched that show before we met.
Yes, I watched it because of my psychology training.
Right. I had to play catch up. Okay. I found out she liked that show. I went and watched it. I did more reading about the actual science behind it and how to use it. And what that meant was, it's not just something that we shared, but I knew that she was going to be using it against me. And so I had to know what those things meant and what she was looking for. Not because I think that I could control it or stop it, but because I can now understand why she's reacting a certain way to something, and I can either preempt that or react appropriately to it. So, okay, she's foreign culture, foreign everything, but you still have to do the parts where if you're going to be with one woman, you've got to get to know them.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to do all the extra work of being a passport bro on top of all the work you would normally have to do in a relationship anyway.
Well, I hope that for anybody who stumbles across this, we have outlined some of the things that passport bros should think about. Or if you plan on becoming a passport bro, it's not just rainbows and butterflies, to quote Rich Cooper. You got to do your homework. You got to be aware of all the things that are going on. And you're going to have to continue to be aware of that for the rest of your life. And you're going to have to vet as heavily and maybe even more so than just what you would do with an American woman. Because you got to vet for different things that you don't have any experience or culturalization to do. It's not an easy thing. And if you think it is, you're wrong. I'm not discouraging anybody from doing it if that's what you want to do. But be aware that there's a lot to this. It's not just a simple solution.
Yeah, there's a reason why I believe so heavily in frame, and it's because of my passport bro experience. I cannot emphasize enough, you must at all times keep your wits about you in this process. If you can maintain your frame, and you can maintain your masculine dominance, and you can understand the culture that these women are coming from and modulate yourself and your actions, you can wind up with a well, you wind up with a hot piece of ass. Okay. Now, that does not mean you get to keep your hot little, your hot little import there. Okay. She's still a woman. She's still got female nature.
She has agency.
Yeah, she has agency, and she has a different culture that's going to always be informing her thinking about how things should be done. She is not going to follow American norms. In fact, and the passport bros are going, yeah, that's what I want. And I'm like, is it though? Because there's some, you guys are going to have to be more, you need more frame. You're going to need very different game than what you're used to. You're going to need way more money than you would with the equivalent American girl. And yeah, it's rewarding if you can do it, but don't walk into this thinking that, oh yeah, you're just going to fly to a country and bring back a girl.
Oh, it's also, if she keeps talking to her friends inside her culture where she came from, they will convince her to leave you at some point.
Yeah, that's something you hear very common, and it's something you guys got to be aware of when you're doing this. We didn't get too much in this, but what her family is chirping in her ear on the other side. We didn't get too much into that. It is a whole thing.
Yeah.
What that looks like is, again, going to vary by the different cultures. The Asian cultures in particular are, and you saw that in the Rich Cooper clip, they are in particular very, very much get married, get kids, get divorced to get the money. They love that game.
That applies whether you're an American going over there or whether you're a Chinese man marrying a Chinese woman.
Yep.
It's brutal. It is brutal over there.
That was our stream last week, wasn't it?
In a lot of the ways, I think it's worse in China. Your pitfalls and the shit that happens to you with the women with a mercenary exploitive mindset is actually worse in Asia than in the US. I think that's true.
I think so too. And so, okay. And so a lot of guys say, okay, well, I won't do Asia. I'll do Eastern Europe. Okay. They might not be as exploitative that way, but as we discussed at length, they will happily fleece you financially. And they will trade. And look, if you're a guy, you might say, okay, I'm going to do the passport bro thing. I'm going to go for casual sex. I accept that I'm paying for it. And look, dude, that's fine. That's, you do you. I'm not going to stop you. But if you go over there thinking I'm going to get a woman who is somehow culturally less feminist, less female nature, more compliant naturally, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, no, you're not. Elena's shown you guys those videos from her dad. That was a Russian chick. And that was a Russian 5, by the way. Okay.
Yeah, who was sitting in the car?
Yeah, the one who's sitting in the car.
Oh, that was brilliant. The guy.
She's a Russian 5. She's a little chubbier in the cheeks. She's got a little extra weight on her. Russia's loaded with gorgeous women because being hot is what they have. That was a Russian 5. And I know you guys are going, that's a Russian 5. I'm going, yes, that's a Russian 5. She was mid for Russia.
Yeah, if in the US, average is obese, right? Overweight. In Russia, it's a different scale. As they age, because of our diet, you can see a lot of fat women. Eventually, even if they look nice. And
potato diets will do that to you.
Yeah. It totally depends on the diet.
Same thing with the Hispanic women.
Oh,
man,
God,
are they hot when they're young. But as they age, they all kind of get rounded in the middle.
Yes. So Yeah, and that's the other thing, guys, is, the wall is universal. They're all going to hit it. Now, Elena, we have worked extensively on our diet. We eat a very healthy diet. She does work out, as you guys know. And, that's why she doesn't look like she's hitting the wall very hard. But yeah, exactly. But again, you can, so look at do what you would do here. Look at their mother. What does their mother look like?
Yes. My mother looks really good, actually, for her age. Good
guys,
genetics, and she does take care of herself.
You know that I was looking, right? Like, I was evaluating your mom too.
Oh yeah, I know that.
Like that.
I know that.
So you have to take all of the rules you use in the United States, and then you have to add all of the extra stuff for Passport Pro. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money. Yes, you can end up with a hot piece of ass, maybe even one that has genuine burning desire. That's a bit of a maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's hard enough to find a girl who's willing to do that for any man. Right? And now you're asking somebody who's going to, and remember, they're going to come to, here's the other thing to consider, guys. They're going to come to this country. They might be a Russian 5, but in this country, they're a US 6 or,
And they will be aware of it.
Oh, goodness gracious. Yes. They're going to know that they're prettier, and they're going to get more attention from guys because of it.
Yeah.
How does your frame withstand that? I've made it very clear with Elena what the deal is with her.
Yeah. Well, and I didn't have, what really helped me, I didn't have social media. I only started it like 5 years ago.
Roughly, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Elena, when you're out and about in public, you're still thinner. You have a nicer body shape than most American women. Agree or disagree?
Well, my husband seems to be satisfied, so I guess yes.
Oh, no.
No, that's not what he asked.
He's edging.
You are hotter than most women. You were just talking about this.
Well,
yes
okay,
or no?
Yes, okay. Okay.
Yes. Okay. Just say yes.
Yes, okay.
So when you're out and about, are you aware that men notice you?
Yes.
Of course she is.
Uh-huh.
I get a simpy message. Well, not actually that many simpy messages. I restrain myself with.
No.
We're not
talking social media.
Stop.
Oh, okay.
This is not it's not your behavior. You can be dressed modestly.
Okay.
And you're just a regular woman, not flaunting anything, but you do have that shape and you're skinny. And a man meets you, and all of a sudden, yeah. Just those subtle things. Men try to be very discreet, but we're always watching. And when we see a very attractive woman, not dressed scanty, I mean, we see that all the time. You just go, yeah. Women have to be aware of that.
She is aware. I know she is. We've talked about it. She
So
doesn't like talking about it.
So if you're an average Russian woman who comes over here, a 5, let's say, a 6 in Russia, you don't get that reaction from men because they don't really see you, just like women don't see the lesser men. Mm-hmm. Okay, if she's a 5 in Russia, she's not going to get that, oh, what's she doing? She's not going to get that reaction. She comes over here, and all of a sudden, the men are eyeing her and watching her, and I think that's not going to have an impact on her mind and her self-worth and her sense of entitlement and all this stuff. So, yeah, guys. Passport bros from wherever. You bring a woman over here from another culture. Okay, she's going to be 5 or 6, 7, maybe 8 from there.
Mhm.
You bring her back here, now all of a sudden, minimum, she's a 7 because she's not fat.
Mhm.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, guys are going to be going, whoa, what was that? All around her. And women have like a radar sense. They
Women know.
when they're being paid attention to.
I actually,
And-
I don't like. I honestly don't watch like.
Yes, she
guys,
does.
you
Don't
know?
believe the lies.
No, seriously. Because I wear baggy clothes. Do you remember
No,
when
no,
I bought
no.
some baggy dresses so that like
No.
nobody.
It doesn't matter. Men
She
can
she thinks she can
recognize
stop
a
it.
great figure in baggy clothes.
Yes, we can.
Okay.
The long hair, the nice demeanor, and
I've been
her
telling her this for
silhouette,
years.
no matter
Steve.
how baggy her clothes are, the shadow she casts on the sidewalk
Isn't
not
very-
that big.
It's not that big. I've been telling her this for years. She doesn't want to believe it.
Define
No.
baggy.
Well, Tacticus. Yeah, Tacticus knows exactly. Like, dude, on point. Bravo. I gotta give you a clap for that, man. That is on. Like, yes, baggy for her is not baggy for most people.
Okay, fine.
And oh yes, she knows when she's getting looked at. She knows.
Puts on a medium size top, and it's got a couple ripples in it because it's not skin tight. Oh, that's baggy. Meanwhile, the American woman would put on that medium and it would be busting out at the seams. Oh, I'm wearing baggy clothes.
Well, the funny thing is that they view themselves as attractive. I don't understand this obsession with fat chicks, okay? Fat, obese chicks on social media wearing these short mini skirts, crop tops, you know, like the outfits that look okay on a skinny girl, right? But they look just outrageous on fat chicks.
Because they want to be perceived as skinny.
Yeah,
that's a whole nother stream
their
that
body
Elena's been
mass,
begging me to do.
their body mass index suggests otherwise. You know, they can't pull it off.
No, you know what? That like there are advantages to having even in this country, to having a beautiful woman on your arm. I won't tell the story because Elena hates it when I tell it, but she has. There have been restaurants that we're not allowed to go back to because
the
the
waitresses would flirt with you.
Oh yeah.
Who doesn't allow you to go back to those restaurants?
Well, we moved out of that area, so
and the funny thing is, she tried to get me to not go back. We went back because it was a good restaurant. But she did. She the food was good.
Hey, if you need a little dread every once in a while, hey, we're going on a surprise date.
Oh, I totally did stuff like that. She tried. She tried. But we kept going back to that restaurant for as long as we lived in that area. You know, and she just got over it. And that's the thing, they will get over it. But they're look, when you have a gorgeous woman on your arm, everyone's going to notice. The men notice, the women notice. You know,
the pre-selection, it really works. Like
that's a compliment. Do you realize that's a compliment to you? Because if Plutarch went in there by himself, those women would not flirt with him at all. He walks in there with you. Whoa, who's that man with that skinny, hot, exotic woman? Ooh, he must be a great man. I'm going to flirt with him because I want to beat her and get that guy because he's probably a better man. So the only reason he's getting that reaction is because of you.
Yeah,
so
I figured it out.
You should take that as a compliment.
Yeah.
Tacticus, yeah, this waitress did not have a chance. She was nothing compared to Elena in just the looks department. But that doesn't stop him from trying.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually something to be mindful of if you're going through the immigration process. If you get a female immigration agent, oh shit. They're going to vet you. They're going to vet you way harder, because those immigration, I don't know exactly what they call them, but you have to do an in-person interview like once or twice, depending on the visa. You get a female interviewer. Oh boy, they are just looking for all the ways that I might be abusing our poor girl down there. You know, they asked some pretty tough questions of Elena.
Oh, they did, yeah.
Women do not like women who are more beautiful than them and are getting wifed up. It doesn't matter who the man is.
Yep.
She's just pissed. Here's this hot woman. Hotter. I mean, it's all relative, okay?
Yep.
She's just fucking pissed off. Because there's always competition between women for men, unless, and this goes back to Team Woman, unless the woman has decided he's not the man for me and she's trashing him, then all the women will then align to trash the man. But if that's not the case, they're competing.
But in Russia, do you know what else they will do? I'm talking about Russia here because I'm very familiar with Russian culture, and I've seen thousands of movies depicting exactly that scenario. So the girlfriends, yes, they would trash the man. They will help her leave the man so that one of them can pick him up. I've seen it.
Now, you were telling me stories of seeing it happen in clubs.
Yes, I've seen it happening in clubs. There is a reason why we haven't been to Russia, darling, and I actually don't want to go to Russia with you, because if we ever go to a public place, there will be chicks, they won't even care that you are married or not. There was one lady, she brought her husband to her country, and she was from Russia, well, from Ukraine, I don't remember. It was my sister's friend, actually. She was married to a German dude. So she brought him back to Russia. They went to a nightclub. And then she had to just sit there next to her husband and shush, 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 shush to all of the women who were trying to approach him.
She take him to a nightclub.
I know, right?
Right. They even had like a fight, but they went there with their friends, you know. Yeah, she even had to, she almost went into a fight with one chick.
Well, it's a culture with an excess of women, and that means that, look, the women are going to fight over men. And if you are a foreign, there's another thing that's going to that does happen to passport bros, and it's part of the seduction of it, is by just matter of fact of being a passport bro, you are automatically telling every woman around you that you are rich, that you are. Now, they don't know what your exact lifestyle is necessarily, but just by being there, you're saying, I have the money to be here. Even if you're doing it on credit and you really don't have the money to do it, they are not going to interpret it that way. They're going to say, you have the money to be here, you must be rich, and the women are going to come out of the woodwork. And it is, I'm telling you guys, the frame required for this is just, it beggars belief, because you are going to get hammered with women offering you all sorts of things that you would never get offered here.
I remember that girl, she was funny. She was very funny. And back in Germany, when we were studying languages, I talked to her, and she said, I will never ever bring my husband to Russia or to Ukraine again.
Yeah.
Because, it was bad. It was like really not pleasant for her. that she had to do it.
There's a lot that goes into passport broing, in addition to everything you have to know about women in general.
That's the problem. The passport bros who think, oh, there's my answer. They don't study women's behavior. They got no game.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to learn game to use it in the U.S. I want to take the easy route and go just find a good woman so I don't have to use game. Holy shit, buddy. And you wonder why it's not going to turn out right. Man, talk about shooting fish in a barrel. Sucker
For the women.
born every minute.
At the end of the day, Steve, that's really it. Is men are thinking that passport broing is going to be a shortcut to a woman who is hot and compliant all in one. Well, gentlemen, I have said about this woman on your screen here that it takes a village to restrain her. Okay, that should tell you something right there.
Compliant. Yeah. Good luck with that.
And she comes from this supposedly more compliant culture. I had to red pill her. There's reasons for that. Okay. And I have to do all that while working with somebody who doesn't understand the culture, or who didn't grow up in the culture, doesn't speak the same language necessarily like I do. You think you're going to go over there and you're going to get a ready-made, compliant hottie. I have bad news for you.
You could order those from Vietnam.
YouTube gives me a lot of content creators who they're either our passport bros or they're the wives of passport bros. And the Vietnamese ones come up. And I don't know what to tell you about them, because it's like this Asian thing where they throw their shoes at you. And it's an Asian thing. Elena's never thrown a shoe at me. But shoes fly, apparently, if your wife is from Vietnam. And
you mean like in anger?
They throw the shoe at you. If you do something that they don't like, they'll take because they always wear, like, they have their house slippers or sandals or what. They just take it off right there and they'll throw it at you. They'll beat you with it.
But it's not a heavy shoe, so it's it's not going to really hurt you, right?
Yeah, but still.
Oh yeah,
no, but women will physically. Women are actually more physical than men in most cases, and that's true throughout society, through foreign societies as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there is nowhere you can go where you're going to find this ready-made woman. I'm sorry, there just is not.
Yeah.
In fact, you go do passport.
You get my hopes up here, Plutarch.
I'm what?
Oh, get my hopes up here. Just joking.
Oh, I was gonna say, I need to say, okay, I need to come up with something else to say here to get my point across for Nick. Then, I mean, it is what it is, guys. Female nature is what it is. You're not going to escape it. Most passport bros are not actually trying to find a good woman. They're just looking for the easy way out. They're looking for a way to not have to learn the red pill.
Mm-hmm.
Gentlemen, if I hadn't been red pilled, I would have gotten fleeced trying to be a passport bro.
Yeah.
It was the red pill that saved my ass. Okay. And I had to be more red pill than you have to be with an American woman to have a prayer of surviving this. It's just what it takes. And there's going to be guys out to say, well, I can go do this. If you walk into this with arrogance, trust me, those women see you coming a mile away and they know exactly what to do to you. Particularly you gym bros. These women
They remind me of car salesmen.
Hey, Plutarch.
We could do that. We could spot that.
Yes, Steve.
Are you afraid of hurting Elena's feelings?
No.
You see, most men, I don't want to hurt her feelings.
Actually, I wouldn't take him any other way.
You can love her. Absolutely. You guys know this. You can love a woman, and if you tell the truth, it's going to hurt her feelings. You still have to tell the truth.
Yeah.
Because if you stop telling the truth or doing what you know should happen or be or whatever to protect her so you don't hurt her feelings, you lost.
Yep.
Yeah.
And just think about all the feminist American women. What are they worried about? He hurt my feelings. Who the fuck cares?
Yeah.
Did he tell the truth?
And see, like, I wouldn't take my husband any other way. If he was simping, pedestalizing, worshipping, I just can't stand this man.
Oh, she'd definitely take my money.
I would still, yeah, look.
There it is, guys. There it is.
You heard it. You heard it here.
Well, it's what all women with some brain will do, right, ladies? I don't even blame you. I totally understand.
Of course.
It would be stupid
was
not
such a weak-
you know?
If he was such a weak man that he'd allow himself to be manipulated, he deserves it if you can take his money.
Exactly.
And you shouldn't even feel guilty about that.
That's how they feel about it.
That's the truth, guys.
Yep.
That is the truth.
Well, if a man is so easily manipulated by a woman, then fool me once. Okay, what's the expression there?
Oh, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me, or sorry,
shame on you. Yeah.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Shame on me. Exactly.
Yeah.
If a man is so weak
Gullible.
and it's just easy to manipulate him and extract the resources from him, women will do it.
No, say it, sweetie. You would do it.
I would do it too. I mean, yeah, why not? You know,
why? There it is. That female nature right there.
He's such an idiot. Then, okay.
Bottom line, women have contempt for a weak man.
Period. Doesn't matter where in the world you go. Doesn't matter. They just do, guys. And these women in these other cultures, they're around harder men than you. Their bar for contempt is lower than an American woman's. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, how could that possibly be? American women hate all American men. Yeah, but you have to be so much more because these women are used to so much more.
Yeah.
That's just the truth of it.
Okay, here's another way to look at it. How difficult is it to out alpha most American men? How do you think you can out alpha most foreign men, most Russian men? Do you think you can go to Russia and out alpha those guys? Or, as a thought exercise, most guys you see in the US, most of your friends, how difficult would it be to learn to out alpha them?
You know, it's funny you're talking about alphas because this has actually come up a lot in Elena's and I's private conversations. Is if you are going out with a foreign woman, particularly from a culture that produces strong men, strong-minded men, chances are you have to out alpha somebody in her history.
Well, this is why body count matters. How many sexual partners
Right.
we had before. See, I have relatively low body count, and I didn't I didn't even date guys in Russia, because I spend most of my time in Europe. And
I still had to out alpha guys.
Yeah.
No, I still did. We've talked about it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
She's told me who the guy is. We don't need to talk about that publicly, but like she told me who it was and what he did. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Like I had to do that. I could.
But it was easier for you to outbeat one guy than like if a woman had
10.
like multiple sexual partners and then
totally
out of
true.
them. Yeah.
But that's true. That's red pill truth no matter where we are in the world.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying, guys. Like you have to do everything red pill and then you get to work on being a passport bro.
Yeah.
Okay, that's just the way it is. So that's this, we've covered a lot of ground. There is a lot more ground to cover on this. It's a huge topic. And yes, I am trying to discourage you guys from going out there and doing this. And I'm doing it because, well, like the guy in the Rich Cooper clip with the Asian wife, I'll bet he just head over and heels with her. I'll bet he thought she was the hottest thing since sliced bread. Okay. I'll bet all of that. And he still got destroyed because he thought that all you have to do is go to a foreign culture and that will automatically produce a compliant hottie. The reality is you have to take everything you've ever learned about women, multiply it by 5, and then learn how to be a passport bro on top of that. It's just the way it works. So you guys out there who are thinking about doing it, I'm not saying don't. I'm saying take a very sober, no bullshit assessment of your ability to actually do it. And this video has lots of, this stream is 3 hours long, but there's lots of examples of the different things you're going to have to consider before you go out and do this. This is not for the weak-minded men. In fact, I would say that there's probably a fair number of red pill guys who would get eaten alive by these women. I was talking about the gym bro guys are actually prime targets because they think they've got it all figured out. These women can come in and play a game unlike anything these guys have ever experienced because American women won't play those kind of games with them, and they get wrecked.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I'm not going to say, I'm not going to say any red pill names. There's lots of guys in the red pill who will get eaten alive trying to do this. That's what I have for today. I'm not going to belabor the points anymore. So, you have anything else to say, Steve?
No, we covered a lot of stuff. I hope that the stream gets viewed by the passport bro community or those thinking of entering the community. Yeah, give them something to think about. You know what? If that's what you want to do, go for it.
Yeah.
But do your homework. Damn
Please,
it, do your
please.
homework, or it's your death
Yeah, pretty much.
Maybe even
or
literally.
destruction. It's your destruction, which may be actually your death. Well, hopefully it doesn't go that far, but it could actually be your destruction.
Yeah. And I mean, look, are humans supposed to behave this way? Ideally, no. But we all know that this is what
We
humans
left
do.
Ideal behind in the garden,
Right.
so
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't be illusional and delusional.
yeah, and I know that this video probably going to get a lot of hate from the Past Built Bro community, and a lot of people saying, oh, but it's this and it's that. It's like, look, I challenge you to a duel on the facts, because a lot of the Passport Bro community is selling that ideal, the compliant hottie, and that's what they're selling. And they might even have in their videos a compliant hottie. Okay. But that does not mean that's what you're getting.
This is what we do. Two of us have kind of been Passport Bros, and we're getting hate from the Passport Bro community. We're red pillars. Yeah, we get hate from the red pill community. We're Christians. Yeah, we get hate from the Christians.
We get lots of hate from them.
Yeah, we're intellectual people, amateur economists. Oh, we get hate from those people. Whatever we tackle, we get hated. And I love it. Oh, wait. The church community, the pastors,
Nick.
probably get hate from them.
Nick, you need to stop hanging out with us. We are corrupting your view of the egalitarian God. Just so you know, we're a bad influence on you. You need to come back to the plantation now.
Yeah, they tried that since like 2020. Didn't work.
There you go.
Do you know what?
That's what Frame does
It's
to
fun. It's actually fun to go out there and get everybody hating on you.
Yeah.
When you don't care and you actually think, wow, I'm doing something good and I don't care.
Well, look,
it's freeing.
I do want to say something here, is that I am on screen with a moderately compliant hottie. It can be done. What I'm trying to impress on people is how much effort it takes to do it. So many of the Passport Bros go out there thinking that it's going to be like what they see on the videos.
Automatic. Yeah.
It's going to be easy. It's going to be easier than being with an American woman.
Yeah.
That's really what I'm fighting. That's really what I'm fighting against here. This was an enormous amount of effort. It took years, guys. It was 3 years from the day I met her to the day she could drive herself in this country. You want to have kids? Oh, that's 3 years where she can't have kids because she can't do anything. Okay. She can't get groceries. She can't take them to doctor's appointments. This woman is no different than an 8-year-old child.
Dependent child.
They are fully they are well for that time where they can't drive, they are fully dependent on you for everything. That's just the truth of it.
It's true. Yeah.
Elena, it will tell you she was fully dependent on me for everything.
And look, even then, I was thinking. Go ahead.
Before my wife could drive, it was some of the best years of our marriage.
Well, the more dependent that the woman is on you, the better the marriage tends to be. And even to this day, Elena is still very dependent on me.
Yeah.
Yes, she can drive now. And I use that to my advantage because guess who does all the food shopping? Not me. So it's not without its advantages. But my point here is, if you want to have kids, you like the cutoff for marrying a woman for doing the Passport Bro thing is 25 and under. Like and even then that might be too late.
Yeah, like look, how old was I when we met? I was 24.
Barely. You were 25, really.
25. Well, it took us a year to.
And then it takes a year and a half to get married, and that's the fast path. And then it took her another year plus a little bit to figure out how to drive, and then she had to learn where things were and how to show. Like, there was all this training that had to be done. Oh, now she's 28.
No, I'm not 28, darling. I'm
She was 28 at the
28.
20 at the time. 20 at the time. The first moment you could even think about having kids.
Yeah, but wasn't it when COVID hit?
No, that was a couple years later.
Oh, okay.
There was a small window where we could have maybe thought about it. Of course, there were other reasons that it didn't happen, but there was a very small window. Okay, so the women all say, "Oh, they're doing the passport." I want to push back against this other message now. Oh, men just do the passport bro thing because this has been a thing on Twitter. The PDF, they're just PDFs. Okay. No. You have to go with young women if you want kids, because the process time requires it.
Especially, if you want to have kids. If you just want a woman, a companion, then you can.
You pick a 35-year-old woman to import. She's 40 by the time she's 40 by the time you can think about having kids. Oh, too late.
Too late, yeah.
Okay. But that's been a meme that's been running around Twitter is that men who want to date these young women and these hot overseas women, they're all doing it because they're PDF adjacent. Okay.
Yeah, let me say something about the PDF stuff. That is so rare. I mean, the vast majority of men, no, they want adult women. They really do. Yes, there is probably a sizable, significant, but 1-2%, probably lower than that. Yeah, there are a bunch of them out there. That's not the majority. And the amount of women who make such allegations in divorce is so unbelievably beyond the incidence of that it's not even funny. Yeah, it happens. Hey, the whole Epstein thing is kind of that. Those are not average men. Those are rich, powerful men who think they can do anything. The vast majority of men do not have those inclinations. The vast, vast majority of men are the protectors of children in innocence and all that. And if they could, and they found out someone actually did that shit to children, baseball bats or more might be involved.
Right. Yeah. That is just an argument that you hear because, going back to what we're talking about, the immigration agents, really, the women just don't want men to go out there and do this. But, what I'm saying is that the math says that if you're going to go out there and passport bro for the purpose of having kids, 25 and under, or under 25 even, because of the times involved. And it doesn't matter and in this case, it doesn't matter if you are moving to that country or they're moving to yours, because it's going to be large amounts of time either way before both parties are settled enough to have kids. That's just the truth of it. Mm-hmm. You can not like it. You can say that men are just doing this. I mean, do men want hot young women? Of course they do. Right? But when you do passport broing, there's an added significant amount of time that is going to, so in the statistics, the age gaps in foreign relationships tend to be wider than they do amongst domestic relationships, because more men are looking for younger women to have kids with, and that means you just have to go younger. Like, it's the only way to do it. Mm-hmm. The math sucks. It is what it is. Deal with it.
And in order for a man to afford to do this, it's probably going to likely be 35 to 40.
Yep.
Just to have, for him to
money.
have the financial resources.
Yep.
And then he's got to go find a young woman. And if he's planning on having kids, okay, so he's 35, she's 22, 13 years. He's 40, she's 25, that's 15 years.
And that's pushing it.
Yeah, that's just the math, guys. And that's pushing. Yeah, that's pushing it. That's just the math.
Math doesn't care about your feelings. It just doesn't. So, you know, that was another one that I kind of wanted to get on there and push back against. Maybe we'll get Elena to make a clip out of it. But there's just so much to think about, guys, that you have to add into your typical red pill matrix. If you want to do red pill passport broing, I'm telling you, it's doable, and you can get a compliant hottie. There's not many of them out there, so you're going to be at it for a while. And if you just want a passport bro to have sex, it's really not that hard. As I said, there are women all over the world who will happily take your money in exchange for opening their legs. Like, that's just how the world works, frankly. So I'm not really speaking to those guys, because those guys know what to do and they know how to go do it, and it won't be a problem.
But then be careful that she doesn't get pregnant.
Be careful she doesn't get pregnant.
Yeah.
Keep track of your drinks, if you know what I mean, guys. Yeah. So other than that, you know, if you're really looking for a long passport broing for a long-term mate, that's where things get significantly more difficult and different from getting into a relationship with a person in your own country. So yeah, that's what I have to say. Steve, I think we could keep going. We need to cut it off here, I think. Nick, do you have anything you'd like to say before we close it out?
I've been mostly listening the whole time because this is not my subject of expertise.
Are you taking notes over there?
No, I'm not. Just mentally, working through.
Yeah. Right.
Well, because Nick is one of the guys who, Nick, you're one of the guys who might actually succeed at passport broing. That's. I'm not saying you have
too much money.
Ah, there it is. Okay.
Well, actually,
I don't like spending money.
Fair. Oh, there you go. There you go, guys.
Ironically, or interestingly, the three of us, when we pull up a topic, two of us have experience on this. You pull up another topic, doesn't matter what it is, two of us are going to have experience on it. I don't care what the hell topic you pick up. And generally, two of us have experience on it. Young people stuff, two of us have experience on it.
Yeah.
And it's not me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually pretty much how it goes. Young people stuff. Thanks, Steve.
Well,
right,
if you need all the wisdom advice, we have Steve for us here.
Yeah.
Right.
Need old man advice.
Yeah. Well, awesome show today, guys. Thank you so much for talking about this, because yeah, I think that we've cleared out some doubts and some questions that men might have had. And yeah, tell me what you are up to on your channel next week. Have you decided the topic yet?
No, I'm probably just going to do an episode on Dalrock.
Okay.
Excellent.
Awesome. So yeah, here is the schedule, guys. On Wednesdays, join us on the Resurgence of Sanity YouTube channel at 5:45 p.m. Pacific, 7:45 p.m. Central, and 8:45 p.m. Eastern. And then join us for regular workouts here on my channel. And then also I put here, you can find me on Patreon. And on Udemy, I have a cross-training fitness program for you guys. So yeah, it took me 2 years to make this program available. I hope that you enjoy it. And then on Sundays, join me for the regular piano practice. Cool. Okay. So I think we are done here, right, guys?
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining, guys. Remember to please like, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel a lot. Drop the comment if you have more questions for the guys, and maybe questions for me also. We'll be happy to answer to them. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Take care, everyone. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Elena's Barre, Elena's Barre, the best place on the internet, the very best by far.